Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to Area Cup number 51. We have a ton of great Splatoon to be played here. A smaller entrant number, but no shortage of talent here in the Japanese scene with some top shelf North American and European competition as well. My name is Ninehole Grains, and you already know who we've brought on. It's Area Cup. It's 5 in the morning. Who else would be on with me except for my good friend Magic 8-Ball and Magic? We've been chatting for like 30 minutes about these teams, and we are pumped.
Oh, incredibly pumped. Like you said, there is a different tournament actually that has been drawing also a large number of teams, but Area Cup still has the cream of the crop. This is a very, very stacked tournament. A lot of players that we haven't seen in a while coming back, showing their hand, as well as a good number of North American and European teams that are making it out and going to be in this bracket, which I am very excited for as well. And yeah, I am the only one crazy enough to go from working at midnight into commentating this tournament. So call me crazy, I don't care.
It's the truest of combos. Folks, for those of you who don't know the rule sets of Area Cup, we will go ahead and let you know about that right now. It's nice that it doesn't change a whole lot. We're just going to be playing Splat Zones today, so if you like Splat Zones, this is the tournament for you. And if you don't, why did you wake up to watch a tournament called Area Cup? The first map is randomly decided, and after that, the losing team gets to counterpick which map they would like to go to. It's a very simple system, and it leads to very quick sets and very quick movement through the bracket. So the hallmark of the Area Cup tournament is that they chew through a number of teams, and this is a brutal format. It's not simply enough to be winning sudden death situations. You have to do it set after set after set against top level competition. But we can go ahead and get started with our very first set, or at least started talking about it here. The players have joined into the lobby here, and we're simply waiting for the TOs on the other side to give it the go-ahead. We have Crispy versus Puttapunte and Magic. Even the most casual of Splatoon fans will recognize some of these names.
Oh, of course. Dynamon, the legendary player from years and years ago in those World Championships, leading a team alongside Milcrape, which is a very star-studded E-leader as well, coming from the old Ink TV Open days with Young Gale against a very starstruck roster of more recent fame with players like Reimaru and Nayagora.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, one of these teams had to get second place in their pool in order for this matchup to occur round one. So, man, if one of these teams lost, what does that tell you about the depth of talent here? It was actually Puttapunte that did get second place in their pool to make this matchup happen. Because it is under 64 teams today in Area Cup, the top two made it out of their pool. But we can stop talking about the tournament structure because we are moving into game one of our Area Cup coverage here at Splat Zones on Spillway. And let's take a look. We aren't going to see a ton of variation in the comps today, Magic, but it's really the in-the-moment decisions that we're looking at.
Right. I often tell this to teams, especially in today's evolving, developing meta. We're 4 months into the game. We don't know what's going on. It's all going to come down to the gameplay at the end of the day and how you're coordinating with your team. And if you're coordinating, getting an immediate double off the bat, immediate triple as a team, I think that you're going to be doing just all right with the weapons that you have.
Yeah, you've done A-okay, and you've got a crab set up on the glass. Only one team has opted to bring in a backline, true backliner here, and that is going to be Nayagora on the heavy splat. And we have seen Sugi, another top Splatling player, get a lot of mileage off of sitting up there on glass and working through. Instead, it seems like it drew everybody over there, and they got collapsed upon. So just as quickly as it looked like a lockout situation might start forming, they've already pushed back in, and now they've got their crab on the other glass here, a much more aggressive position, and they moved so quickly once they took the zone, Magic.
Yeah, they just swept in. That's what you need to do, especially on such a wide map like Spillways. You can't be stagnant. You have to constantly be covering the map and being ready to face anything that you have. Very nice shot from Milcrape there to find Momo. Gonna be able to get their team to get the cap and at least start chewing through this penalty, pushing them back all the while. This is a very slow push from as antithesis to what we saw earlier. but it's not going to go super well. Look at that collapse on the other side from Parapunte.
Yeah, this was a wild, wild scrap, and actually that's Renzo, an old teammate of Taiji's and Dynamon's on some of the later versions of GG Boys, who came through there and did just enough to dissuade that crab from firing at the zone. They're going to earn the lead off of it, and maybe a little bit more. It gave Nyagora time to get back on this side and at least stall out these zones. If the other members are able to move in, it's going to drop on top of Dynamon and take it out. You would think surely that's going to be a zone cap here. And now how will they move this time? They've taken out the last remaining member. Taiji's up on one side, but Momo already went down with that sloshing machine. If Reimaru can get some value out of this crab, and does, this lead might go the other way already.
It's so tough to get stuck in that corner and try and take that fight, but if you're committed to it, you can't go down quite like that. You have to be knowing when those special counters are coming online. Nyagora ends up going down to a crab on the other side. Momo decides to try and fight, able to get help from Taiji. This could be the final push needed for Parapunte to seal this one away.
Yeah, and you see that the last two members were the splashes. That generally means that they're going to have a crab online, and you can see in the top left of your corner, 3/4 of the way to the crab, and that was the crab that would have been on their glass. Gets collapsed upon and taken out. The decision was made to go that direction, but it's not going to be enough. The other members held on. Again, went after where they knew that that crab was coming in, and when you create an advantage on top of your own glass, it almost certainly means you're going to be able to neutralize one zone, and they've given themselves a new lease on life.
Parapunte really tried to make that push not happen. They were trying to nip it in the bud. They were really going forward and almost overextending to try and get those picks and steal that one away, but it ended up being their downfall. They're going to have to try, and you're going to have another do-over. Going to have to make sure that they play a little bit more cleanly this time.
Yeah, taking a look here, they're not going to get that many more opportunities to do it here. That crab, that's probably a fourth of that crab that already isn't going to be firing, and Reimaru sees the opportunity, moves forward, and attack, 2 down. And even if that hadn't gotten the job, you have to think that the Booyah Bomb would have done it as well. Taiji going to move up simply to try and put the game away right there. It's a risky play there, but if you win the game off of it, it's totally fine. Instead, Milkrape and the others have held on ever so slightly. Milkrape needs to get this victory, will not, gets taken down. Nyagora takes the victory lap at the end, and after an incredible scrap all throughout the game and some impressive resilience from Crispy, it will be Parapunte, who will, I remind you, got second place in their pool, will take game 1.
Yeah, probably a little bit disappointed after that loss and decided to put themselves back together, having to build it back up from the ground. And they were able to do so. They were able to build a very strong foundation to work upon. I mean, especially with Nyagora in the back, you cannot have a more solid, fluid person supporting your team, especially with somebody with the presence of Nyagora. But Dynamon on this Stamper is such an issue for them.
Yeah, Dynamon was kind of rotating between weapons at the start of the game. Those of you who are familiar with Dynamon's work, and we will call it work, of course, know the Dynamo Roller, the namesake, but also that there was a lot of Explosher play back in Splatoon 2 during metas where people weren't even touching that thing. So you get the sense of the types of weapons that Dynamon wants to play and how he wants to work around, and he was one of the first players who really started to push Splatana Stamper and won some weekly tournaments, placed high in some monthly tournaments and top-level tournaments as well with that. So certainly no slouch with the weapon, has the accolades to go along, but you did get the sense that there was just a little bit more instability with the way that that comp was working, as opposed to the more stabilizing force that the anchor of Nyagora was providing.
Quite, exactly. Gonna be interesting to see how everything turns around on a map like Museum. Gonna have probably a little bit more of a back and forth dynamic, I would say, right? Where it's gonna be a lot of commitments into those lower ground areas when the going needs to get going. And so you're going to have a lot of standoffs, I would say, a lot of just painting wars to try and just cap that zone before everybody gets their special and all dives in. So this could benefit Crispy in the long run, I would think.
Yeah, it's their counter pick, so they better hope that it benefits them. They certainly have something that they like here. Maybe a weapon change. Of course, they have Dynamon, who could play Explosh. They have Milcrave, who is known for E-Leader. Menshino is a strong Tetris player, so a lot of things that they could change up here, and that may be why they've gone. We won't have to guess too much longer here as the teams get loaded into Game 2. Tournament point here for Crispy. They are out if they can't pull something together, and it's not going to be a comp change really from either team, so they must simply like their opportunities once they get the lockout situation.
Right, and that's going to be everything here. If you can get onto that middle spinning platform, you can get up into the enemy base, and that's going to be everything. This a quick collapse from Bardapunte, and is going to lead to a 2-down situation immediately on that left side. I just saw 4 purple blobs swimming over towards one spot. The Crab, though, is going to be the important dictator of the final part of this set. Nayagora has something to say about it, not going to be able to get the turnaround. And 9, that was a very quick scrap early on, but it's going to lead to Crispy with the lead.
Yeah, and you can see both of the teams, what they were trying to go for there at the start, trying to make the case that the collapse on the left side would give enough time for a Crab to be built on center. What they didn't count on was at the very immediate portion, Reimaru saying, finally a Crab, a worthy opponent, and trying to fight the Crab one-on-one as he is wont to do. So that whole operation really could have gone a number of different ways for both of these teams. You can see the game plan, but now this is what we talked about earlier. There's a stabilizing force. The stabilizing force gets taken out by a Crab, a high up Crab. Another's gonna jump out here, and Renzo with some precision shots to get rid of Nayagora means that the walls are gonna start tumbling down.
Every time you have like a very stalwart defense in your path, you have to find some creative solutions to it. And this was a very fantastic Crab by Renzo, and alongside it, Milcrave. Fortunately, not going to be able to find the follow-up. I didn't quite see exactly what went down, but at the end of the day, there were some splashes floundering around in the zone, and that's not what you want to see. You want them to be a little bit more tied together. This time, it's going to be the Bardapunte going 2 down, though, and the Sharks could be a very big difference here if they get the one pick that they need. Trying to find Dynamon, not going to be able to. Momo goes down, and this is looking like finally they have an opportunity for a lockout here.
Yeah, that was a really scary situation. You saw that Taiji actually came over to where Momo was sharking as well, and, you know, far be it for me to tell these players how to play the game, but if one of your sharks is getting fired at and the other shark is next to it, it sort of mitigates the effective range that your sharks can control there. So all of this big lead that they've ended up getting here and could go even further, I think, is because of that. They opted to sit back and maybe wait for and try to wait some of these Crabs out so that they can use their own Crabs. Dynamon playing a weapon that can deal with Crabs, but Reimaru is going to survive just long enough to get some more fire onto the zone. They collapse. Can Reimaru fight out? No! Not even Reimaru can get through 2 of them. It does appear that Nayagora was able to fire at the zone long enough. Menshino cannot outpaint with a sloshing machine, but still a nice scoring play there.
No, that was perfectly executed, I would think. You know, drawing all the fire to the left side, really trying to distract everyone, and then letting Nayagora just take care of the zone and get that paint down where it was needed, and it's going to lead to a favorable fight. And these teams are scrapping so much, 9. It seems like every single moment somebody's in a fight.
Not only are they in a fight, one of the splashes always has Crab, and I know that's almost a joke at this point, but you'd say, wait a minute, they're fighting and dying all the time. How do they still have special? And, well, folks, I can't really give you the answer here, as now, finally, the first real up-in-your-face opportunity is being made here by Bardapunte. They have moved up. Reimaru's in a great spot. Gonna try to opt to fight everybody once again, and really wasn't even able to get anybody. Yes, Dynamon is down, but you would have loved to take out a Crab. Will Nayagora be able to neutralize the zone long enough? It's really just him at this point, firing every which way, and wisely backs away to try to give them a chance to hold onto the board and make a counter play, but instead is going to get collapsed upon. He is able to get a trade in the process, but the immediate move forward there by Crispy, they understood that there was an opportunity for them to not only get Nayagora, but any jumps that came that way, and they get a punish off of it here, and might even score a couple points if they're able to put a corral on Reimaru and Momo on this side.
It doesn't look like they're going to be able to collapse quite how they need to. Finally, 2 go down on the side of Bardapunte. Nayagora is going to be the last one standing yet again. And here comes Dynamon. The old guard is not going to be able to do it. Spider-Man is not going to be in this neighborhood today. Finally, some orange paint gets down onto this zone. Another splash goes down, and there's no crabs left. They need one good Booyah Bomb, but Momo goes down in the middle of getting that Booyah Bomb up, and no, I don't think they're going to be able to do it, Nine.
No, it would take a miracle at this point. Dynamon's down, Taiji's down, and the counter pick works in the favor of Crispy. An incredibly scrappy fight with Reimaru picking all sorts of crazy angles to try to attack from. There were more crabs on the left and right flanks of the map this game than I think I've ever seen played at this time. It's almost always you put it behind the zone or top mid. They were pulling crabs out wherever they had them, whenever they had them. And we have a third game between these two stalwarts.
And we were talking a little bit beforehand how both of these teams were such good contenders, and it was crazy that we were going to be seeing this match first because we knew it would go the distance. We could see that coming from a mile away, but when you run that distance, it's all the more special. It's
sometimes you just have to take a side.
Yeah.
An absolute pleasure, and we do want to thank you again, those of you who are just joining us here. This is still round one of Area Cup 81. Crispy and Parapunte duking it out right now. Two incredibly skilled Japanese pickups here as we wait now for Parapunte's counter pick here. It is a best of three here, and it is single elim, so this could be it for one of these teams. I suppose it will be it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Elsewhere in the bracket, Starburst did win their round one matchup, so they were playing against the second seed of another pool. They ended up winning their pool, and they will play against a very, very strong team on the other side of the bracket. We will talk about that should we get to watch that match, but I know that there's my spreadsheet currently is breaking because it says unavailable due to heavy collaborator use of this spreadsheet. So it seems like pretty much everybody's looking at it right now. On the other side, though, Grugru, which is a different name for Alliance Rogue. This is their main roster, or at least their changed roster that they're moving towards. But I know they've used Grugru in the past for Area Cup, so perhaps they just wanted to keep it consistent for branding purposes. And then there was another squad, SB129, of Jared, Goss, Q, and Issa. They got second place in their pool, so they are currently trying to make their own bracket run. So, again, we mentioned some top shelf North American and European talent, and we will try to keep you updated on how they are playing as the tournament is going on.
And this is gonna be not a long tournament, but I feel like there's just so much that you could cover for a bracket like this, right? You could go on and on at length about what teams face off, what it means in the grand scheme of things, like can these overseas teams actually perform, etc., etc. Like this is an important tournament at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. You never trip into winning one of these area cups. That's winning an area cup doesn't change the landscape of Splatoon, but it does tell you that you can win sudden death sets against top competition over and over and over. You aren't getting beaten by one unfortunate map that you're weak on. You're just solid and well-rounded in every aspect, and you have the stamina to keep pace with these teams over and over. But of course, our game 3, moving into Hagglefish Market, Splat Zones, and we've loved this for so long, regardless of what the meta was. Even back in the early days when it was build your junior and build your pivot on the left side of the map and go in from there, we certainly know where the crabs will be going here. We most likely know where Nyagoro is going to go if he does opt to stay with the heavy Splatling. Could see the Zinc Mini, and that's secretly what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
Nyagoro did achieve 3,500 XP in X rank, one of the few players that has done it, and did it with the Zinc Mini Splatling. I do believe Big Bubbler to be a legitimate problem that Crab is, stepping over the top of for the time being. But folks, we are moving into a do or die game 3 here between Parapunte and Crispy on Parapunte's counter pick.
And this is gonna be quite exquisite if we get to see it. And yes, we do. And also, the Rapid Pro that's not Nyagora on the Zinc Mini. That's Momo. We're gonna see the classic that we saw from the Splat World Championship with the Rapid Pro.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, this was the main weapon that Nyagora used to dismantle, and I do mean dismantle, Starburst's best effort on a day where nobody could beat them. Already goes down here and is getting collapsed upon. We certainly know why this weapon isn't played as much at this level, but when you have Reimaru working the flanks here, you can get away with some risky plays early on. They were able to neutralize the zone and will give themselves an opportunity to move back in, but so far, Parapunte still controlling the pace of this game.
It's a similar idea, right? There was a mist, and then you had Nyagora on the Rapid Pro, right? Because originally Rapid Pro had that mist, right? It was the wall. I forget the composition now. Anyways, Milkcape is going to be able to find one on this left side. They're going to be doing their best to actually neutralize these splashes, which I think is the important part, right? You don't want to dive that back line. You want to make sure that you get the front line down first, and they've been able to do that successfully for the most part because of probably that machine able to stuff them out. Gonna be dancing around. Dynamon still on this Stamper, gonna be trying to take care of business at range, and that's gonna be Nyagora going down again. And this is a really nice lockout as another shot comes through from Renzone, lobbing those bombs. This is not looking good, Nine.
No, it's not. And when you have 3 burst bomb weapons here, you know that at any point, once you pop out of that crab, everyone's going to be looking your way, and they could get enough follow-up to take you out. Just 30 ticks left on the timer here. Watch, that's 2 specials at the top, and you know that those 2 crabs are going to come shortly after, but what is the follow-up after these specials come out? They're going to use the Ink Vac, and Menchino going to try to wait him out, and is going to actually lob it to the other side, firing at the zone. Everybody painting here, 3 points left. Dynamon came in and tried to crash and is still behind them here, has the opportunity to steal this game single-handedly. They have the presence of mind to move back and take him out, but did they waste too much time? Momo gets back and fires, but it won't be enough. An unbelievable ending with teams moving back, sending their flanks, and having just enough presence on the zone as Parapunte out edges at the very end of that game, Crispy to send them home.
Oh my goodness, that crab at the end was so important, and Dynamon going towards the zone, distracting Nyagora just enough to move around and dislodge the main displacement factor on the side of Parapunte, then going back behind him, getting the pick, and then able to draw all of that attention away while the crab was able to start moving up and completely force everyone out of zone. They almost had that painted, but they were too scared of the crab and didn't go for the cap, and that was the decision that sent them home. That's so tough, but so well played from the side of Crispy.
Yeah, it absolutely was, and congratulations to Crispy. Having Dynamon go on that flank first, in the heat of the moment there, when the Zipcaster comes out, you might not necessarily know where the landing spot is, and frankly, you have more important issues to attend to, but Dynamon using it from that perspective, just the subtlety of, I'm going to distract you for a while, and then when I jump back, I'm still in your flank, means that it was an issue that had to be dealt with over and over, and I thought Momo was going to get back in time with the Zinc Mini to paint that zone and take it back, at least neutralize it, but again, Crispy, a top shelf team. We knew when we saw this roster that there was going to be potential for a deep run, and they will continue to make their march. On the other side, Parapunte going to be bowing out here in round 1. Reimaru, Momo, Nyagora, Taiji. I mean, these are some Splat World Championship winners, right?
Right.
You've got, actually, this might be the first team where you can say they have composed of Splatoon 2 World Champions and the Splat World Champions. Because Taiji has won one and Reimaru, Momo, and Nyagora won another. Yeah. That's unbelievable. And they're out in round 1.
Chaos. Mutiny. Mutiny, I say. Oh my goodness.
Fantastic stuff. Folks, SB129 will also be bowing out. They lost their round 1 matchup as well. Not to slouches whatsoever. They lost to a team that is led by someone that I know a lot of you are familiar with, Dark Odin X. Blue Hawaii is the name of that squad, with Diff, Pondorama, and Suimaru. So again, an incredibly strong team that they are losing to, but that is one of the North American European fusions that is out of this tournament thus far. Meanwhile, on the other side, Starburst did win their round 1 matchup. They've got a very tough one that'll be coming up shortly. And I don't believe we still don't yet know where Gru is at. I don't believe that their pool has fully reported yet. So we'll update you on how that goes just as soon as we get the chance.
Interesting. And, hopefully everything's hunky-dory all in that group, but we have to assume that it's just a matter of some reporting issues, etc., etc. So, still, very interesting stuff from all sides of this bracket. Not too many reports have come in for that first round, unfortunately, but it's going to be interesting to see where we go after this. Like you said, that Starburst matchup looks very good. The matchup at the top of the bracket also could be a pretty interesting one, right?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Let's talk about the matchup here. We already mentioned Onex's team, which is one of the 2 teams in the top of that bracket, but on the other side, their opponent is Haniwa, and they are led by the human or inkling zombie, however you want to put it, Mashu, the Tetris god, Ride playing the Splash and the Splatana Stamper, Azototsu, another Splatana Wiper and Stamper main, and they also have Toto, who is another Splatana Stamper and Squeezer player. So they have 3 players who, at the highest level, have brought out a variant of Splatana. Folks, I do not expect to see 3 Splatanas be brought out here. I'm almost certain that one of them will switch over to Splash and maybe one to a machine as well. But on the bright side, we certainly know what Mashu's going to be playing. There's not really any guesswork involved in that.
And that's the beautiful part of it, is we love our Tetra players, especially in North America. We love our Tetra players, and they stick to their guns, literally. They do not let go. They have you in a death grip alongside their guns. They're just locked on, like glued to their hands. Like they just can't stop rolling. It's a lot of fun, though. It's a lot of fun to watch. And I'm going to be excited to see if something like a Tetris can still have that staying power in the long run. I know that Tetris really got going like in those early area cups, right? Where, we saw those fast comps starting to take off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, I think that dualies have had like a little bit of like not like a sliver of the pie, but certainly like a chunk of it. Not the whole thing, but they've been there in the background.
They absolutely have, and I think in particular the role that the Tetras provide is a role that teams, if they don't want to rely on Crab for all of their problems, there's still room in this game for people to break back in by simply fighting and misdirecting. And here's some interesting stats for you that I think that you will enjoy, Magic, and our viewers might as well. Over my break on vacation, I just watched a bunch of the Splatoon World Championship again and dug into those stats, because of course, what else would I do on my hard-earned vacation? In every game except for 2 over the course of that, Mashu died more times than the rest of his team combined. Let me just again clarify that for anyone who may have misinterpreted. In all of the games except for 2, the winning team, the Tetris player Mashu for that squad, died more than the rest of his team combined in every game except for 2. So if you're wondering, again, why exactly a player like Mashu would do that, who could gunfight with everybody, I want you to think of it like this. Tetras die so that the rest of the team doesn't have to. And again, that Splat World Championship featured top shelf talent from across the world. And even if it didn't, like, Mashu doesn't need any more accolades. We don't need to aggrandize this player any more than we already do. That's the strategy. If 2 or 3 people fire that way, then that means that you're going to be in a very momentary 3v2 with the other 2 players. And if Mashu gets taken out without taking anybody out, that's A-okay. Sometimes Mashu goes in, knocks out 2 people. Sometimes Mashu goes in and just hits a couple people twice and the other teams follow up. But that's what the game plan is. I will die so you don't have to, and I respawn in 2 seconds. So did I really die? Did I really die?
Definitely lived on in the spirits of those players that you got a couple of shots on and like distracted enough just so that they couldn't paint the zone, right? Like at the end of the day, like they have to spend that time doing literally anything else that would be more valuable. Instead, they have to kill this zombie Tetra. And that is what it feels like when you're playing against the Tetra that is just diving at you time and time again. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But legitimately, I don't think people realize how crazy of a statistic that is. If that Tetris is dying 15 times, 15? That means that the other 3 players cannot die 5 times each for that stat to be true. Like, that is an insane number. You don't just get 15 deaths in a game. Maybe as Tetris you do, but that is still, you are working hard to die.
Well, and I'll even double up with some other wild numbers for you. There were games where Mashu died 4 or 5 times, and that stat still held true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there you go. I mean, it's unbelievable the way that players are able to play around Mashu.
It's impressive. It's impressive that all of those players can just do it every single time, right? Like, I'm sure that this Hanwha team is doing the same thing, and that they're able to just lock into that style of composition consistently. That's the most impressive part to me.
Elsewhere in the bracket, we do have our first team that has punched their ticket to round 3. We are still currently waiting on a cast here of round number 2. But that will be Sanchanzu, which is a squad that is composed of Tikatan, Sandwich, Norishio, and Puccio. So some players I'm sure our viewing audience very familiar with. But they have punched their ticket thus far. So congratulations to them making, again, their continued run. It seems like Tikatan is just perpetually in top 8 of these things. So we'll see if that squad continue to march forward here later on in the bracket. But we finally do have our matchup here. The players are in the lobby and Magic. We don't have to stall much longer.
No, and you remember all that stalling we did? Yeah, it was all worth it, because these are the 2 teams that we're going to be seeing. I see Mashu in the lobby. We're going to be seeing Hanwha versus Blue Hawaii for this round 2 matchup, which is, I'm very excited to see how Odanex and Diff match up against this Tetra composition. I'm excited.
Yep, this is going to be great, and Flounder Heights, especially where this is going to go. We have seen incredible matchups here. If you watch the Splat World Championship, you will know that Splash-O-Matics just have a field day here. The burst bombs, the mobility. It is baffling how creative players can be, not only coming in and attacking, but simply surviving when things go south. So, again, folks, we won't have to stall for this much longer. We are waiting with bated breath, and there's a pretty good chance, folks, that you will see Jet Squelcher be played here from Odanex. Odanex was not one of the few Stingray mains who only played that weapon for that. A big believer in the main weapon as well, and we will see if that maintains here even at the top level between these 2 squads.
Oh, for sure. And the Inkvacs from Odanex that I saw in Area Cup 80 were outstanding. Like, the usage of that special is beyond anything I've seen. Gonna have to see how it comes out, especially with the craziness that can come from Flounder Heights. I've seen blasters, I've seen exploshers, I've seen everything, every crazy concept of composition come out on this stage, so we're gonna have to see what we get. Gonna be Hanwha on the side with the Stamper and the Tetras, and we're gonna be seeing a Squeezer coming out from Blue Hawaii. Interesting.
Yeah, I do think that it can work here. Certainly, Squeezer is one of those weapons that on paper everybody said, this thing has the tools, it's got the goods to make it happen, and then we were a little disillusioned with the Zuka, and we just weren't entirely sure where that weapon fits when Krabs can simply build it up. It's certainly not the fastest weapon. What you hope is that it can do what this player is trying to do, which is work around that wall and survive, but there's just too much speed, and this is looking ugly. Mashu is already in their base, putting some more firing, and of course he's moving forward. Are you kidding me?
That's the Tetra way. Tetra way is one direction, and it is towards the enemy base. The Crab going up on the high ground. This is such an oppressive Crab. Holy cow. Mashu's already going to be back in. We're going to see another really clean play. And look at Mashu all the way up there, just constantly going in.
Yeah,
It's super hard to get up this rampway though. That's gonna be the main issue.
It will, and Mashu now back in already. They're simply trying to maybe move some of the crabs and slow down some of the fire here. One of the crabs was able to survive, but it's going to be a wipeout. Incredible patience and survivability on that attack. They're immediately painting that wall. They want to go to the exact same place. Odenex moving up here, and now that triple Zuka's gonna come out. Actually was able to find one of the splashes here. Hold on, that's kind of a big deal. That's one less crab they're gonna have to move in. If they're able to take out the player who is trying to work up that wall, it's gonna be very difficult for them to push in. Toto does have the Zipcaster here and might have an avenue to move in, and they sent somebody around the flank to try to attack it here, and it's gonna get snuffed out as well.
That was impressive. That's a very impressive play, and it's gonna lead to Odenex going to be trying to dive away, and is finally going to be able to. Not looking great if you're on the side of Blue Hawaii. You know, you're trying to make sure that you can stand up every single time to this really aggressive team composition, especially since you have that slower pace. And even if you have the machine, it's so hard to just reach up over those ledges. It's so hard to start to move forward. Tsunomaru is going to try and have to make a little bit of room here, make a little bit of breathing room, but it's not going to be a lot. One Zuka shot goes down. The next two don't find their mark exactly, but it's going to be Mashu fighting Tsunomaru, going to be able to get the team up, and that's going to be the difference. Jump in on the side of Blue Hawaii, but I don't know where it went. It's going to be in the street. They're not going to be able to paint the zone. That's going to be the cap, but this crab is looking like it could be really, really nice on the side of the yellow squad.
Yeah, you give up zone, but you have much, much bigger things in sight here. That's actually a pretty impressive fight there from Rirei. As that fight was going on, people had worked around the backside. A direct is going to do that. Everybody jumps, and we're in the chaos form of the game here. Odenex trying to win this fight will not. Toto cleans that up and gets another shot down. Another one as Toto continues to move forward and immediately jumps back up to survive. They want to get Mashu back in. There comes the jump. You know exactly who it is and exactly where he's going. Mashu works the other way, and as they fire at Mashu, Toto gets another and is still not done. Moving in, finds another.
This is why Stamper is being seen so much at this top level, especially in Japan, because it is just that strong. It can do these crazy shots, these long-lasting shots that are constantly pressing you forward. Finally, we're going to see this yellow side once again take hold from Haniwa with these burst bombs, with these long-range shots from Toto. They're going to be trying to contain them in this ramp area. Not going to be able to exactly do so for the time being, but they don't have enough time to get the neutralization on the zone. Barely not getting the paint down. And Blue Hawaii is going to have to take the L on that one. The Tetras, well, they died a lot that game.
Yeah, they certainly did their job. And every time that there was a big scrappy fight there that could have resulted in a more sustained hold, you saw that either the fight was initiated by Mashu or that there was a crash later on by Mashu jumping in because, well, probably died early enough in the fight that he had time to get back and continue the fight later on. And again, that's the game plan. And when people have to look away and when there's burst bombs, there's just little bits of damage that you don't get to heal from, and you're always fighting with half of your HP. And that's why Toto able to go on that incredible streak that we were spectating for. Looked lovely. All of the vertical shots, a burst bomb, a horizontal shot there, crashing through. And as we said earlier, folks, the way that these Splash-O-Matic players are able to work around and make themselves hard to hit on the defensive side is the reason why Flounder Heights splat zones can be so exciting in the areas of interest on the map.
Right. It's a map that plays just so differently from everything, from anything and everything. It plays in a very unique style, and something that has been missing from the game for a long time just because of the verticality. You know, like, we had Moray in the last game, but it never really was seen as such a viable map. But Flounder has always kind of had that style and taken it to that level. It's so crazy because you know, you have these plays where you can throw a Booyah Bomb like at a wall, and you know that, all right, that's going to clear out like everything behind it. It's going to clear out everything below it, and that's the important parts of where you need, right? And so things like Booyah Bomb, things like Machine are just so strong in these situations. I won't go on too much longer. It seems like the counterpick is coming in for Blue Hawaii is going to be Mincemeat Metalworks, and this is exactly what I am expecting from Odenex.
One quick mention here on the other side of the bracket. Starburst will be bowing out here in round 2, going down 2-0 Toraki Ko Tamu, which is who will be playing the winner of this set. So again, this is a very, very quality team that moved forward there. But congratulations to Starburst getting a round 1 victory, winning their pool, taking a bow out here. Back in the match, you said it well, Magic. This is the map where we think that Odenex is finally going to get to go back to the tried and true, and this is a map where things can get a little hectic. We've seen players opt to go even double missile some teams. I don't know that we'll be seeing that with these two squads, but those missiles are still plenty strong, as you all well know, and if you're ever going to use it on a map, it'd be a map like this with a big mid area where you can build up your special simply by trying to neutralize zone.
And I see on your notes that Suemaru's got a certain specific weapon. I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna speculate, just for the sake of that it might not come true, but it would be a good time to bring it out. No, gonna stick to Squeezer, but that is a Jet Squelcher and that is a Flingza, so you were dead on the mark there, Nine.
Well, I mean, listen, if you all want to screenshot an off-meta comp, take a look at this. Squeezer and Jet Squelcher on the same squad here, so they're going to have a decent presence of painting on the other side of the map, but that Splash is going to have a really difficult time. Mashu goes in and fights, but did enough damage. I think Mashu got the perfect engagement there, was able to get a trade, so that means that the QR is going to activate on the next life, and was able to fight it off as well. Mashu now back in. They're painting up their diff very far away here, and this is the one thing that this comp is going to have a really difficult time with. If your Splash is all the way back and you can't close in on some of these players, you're going to hope that you can get your crab out, but Toto is going to take it out before that even happens, and now once again, the MVP of the set thus far is going to move back in, and attack lands the other way, and they are going to need a miracle simply to break back into mid.
That's the star player down, though. A great shot from Suemaru. Mashu does not find any damage that is needed for the composition to do its magic. Suemaru's just chilling in this corner trying to live and is able to get the zone cap for it. 2 moving forward, trying to dive onto Odenex, and is going to be found. A cap, but no staying power on the side of Blue Hawaii, on this blue ink. It's going to be so hard to remove Toto this time, especially with all of the chip damage that can come through from Mashu, and that's why these burst bombs work so well with the Tetras. It's a beautiful symphony of damage.
Oh, incredible shot there once again from Toto, who continues to move up in all these angles that blasters would usually play like, but you've got more range and you've got a burst bomb on top of it. A great shot there from Diff, though, on both accounts to take somebody out. They're going to have an opportunity to take zone, and they need to do it very quickly because there's still members up here. They do so. They take care of some business there, take out Ide on the other side, but because they had to go back and fight and clear out that last player, they gave up bridge, and now they're just desperately trying to find some sort of sustained push. Mashu is just back in. They're going to fire that way, and finally, Magic, after almost half of the game, they actually have the opportunity to try to hold the zone. I won't even call this a lockout scenario.
No, and it's kind of interesting, but Tetras are basically like, work like beacons, right? Where if you try and move forward, they're just going to come back in time to just take care of you anyways. A jump out from the missiles from Toto is able to stay alive and work towards this. Odenex goes down, and that's going to be the orange side going super hard into the enemy base. Diff not going to be able to find the pick. Mashu is just tearing it up. Gonna do a jump out of his own. These teammates are so in sync with each other, and this is going to be the countdown that they needed. I don't think that they're going to be able to get back to the zone in time.
No, not at all. Mashu going to be the one to take the victory lap after a hard set of dying. Mashu gets the final 2 splats on the screen for you. And Haniwa showing you why they are the number 1 seed in this tournament. They were the first team that the commentators decided to talk about. And I think you can see why, folks. In sync, attacking, star plays being made, and an understanding of how the opposing team is trying to break back in. You got all that, and you execute it properly, you're going to win yourself a lot of sets.
And a lot of sets they have already won. Going all the way to top 8 pretty quickly, I would say. 2-0, just... I mean, those games were interesting. Those games were fun. They had a lot of good scraps, but to say that they were close, I think would be a little bit of a stretch. They really did well during that set, and probably for the rest of them. Now the rest of this tournament, that is not so clean.
Folks, it is. I mean, it's a bloodbath on the other side. Like, that's what we need to note here for you. We're looking through the lobby here just to see what we can update you with. IGZ, we've gone this long in the tournament, we haven't even talked about Melon. Is currently making their run through the tournament as well. MDZ, still in the tournament as well, is making their run. They were able to beat Momen's squad, which is another, again, squad full of absolute monsters there. So both MDZ and IGZ still in the bracket and moving forward, taking out anybody who stands in their way. I mean, folks, again, we said that this didn't have the entrant numbers of some of the other Area Cups that we've seen. That's because there are multiple variations of Area Cup, and it means that whoever is left in these brackets, well, they know a thing or two about how to play this game at the highest level.
Indeed. Like we were saying, it's just stacked. It's just very much stacked right now. And it's crazy to think that, you know, a team like Starburst can even get to the point where they're pushing for that top 8 spot, right? And that's the important part. That's why this has such an impact, is because every single match matters. And when matches like that are getting blown out of proportion, it's all the more impressive.
It absolutely is. And Magic, every time we do one of these wonderful tournaments that we do, I always put together a little cheat sheet here, a list of players and strong teams that could make a deep run. And every time before one of these tournaments, I always tell you, oh yeah, there's going to be one team that makes top 4 that I didn't put on this list. And it's all in good fun, but it's also always true. And if you take a look at the bottom side of the bracket here, 2 of the teams that got second place in their pool knocked out 2 of the teams that won their pool. And some big, big names on those rosters as well. So just another Area Cup, my friend. Just another Area Cup.
It's chaos! Nothing makes sense anymore. You know what also is very interesting is Grogu, I think, is still playing their match in pools. No, actually, correction. It just got done. It just got reported. Finally, Group A8 is finished for real, and Grogu is not going to be making it out of that group.
Well, I am flatly stunned there. I would love to see what specifically ended up happening in those sets. You hope that it's all fine and that there's nothing to put an asterisk next to any of this, but yeah, well, there we go.
They have it. This is a stacked, like you said, it's a stacked tournament, right? Somebody's gonna drown in pools.
Yep, someone is gonna drown in pools. We said in one of our earlier conversations ahead of time, there's a squad of Rururui, Pio, Tsurara, and Funa who didn't make it out of a pool as well. And if any of those names tickle your brain, it is because Tsurara has won an Area Cup, was the ace sloshing machine for the legendary Ochapa squad that won what Magic, you and I consider to be the most exciting and stacked Area Cup that we've ever seen. And Funa, who is a perennial participant in Splat World Championship as well, yeah, that squad didn't make it out of pools either. So there you go. There you go.
Everything is chaos. Everything. But that's also why we play Splatoon, right? Is because it's so chaotic. You have to keep notes from all over the map. You never know when a flank might come in and just drag you down into the depths with them. That is why we play the game.
Yeah, and this is what is so exciting about getting players who are all of a certain skill level to make things happen, right? It's one thing to say, here is a tournament where players of similar skill are going to be competing each other. But when you get top shelf talent, you start to see people invent things on the fly and not even know that they've invented them. They are developing the meta game in real time, and they're adapting and making plays in real time. And that's why, again, it's so exciting why we see these things. And I wish that I had 4 pairs of eyes and that I could watch 3 or 4 different perspectives at one time, simply to figure out how these teams are moving in, what they're seeing, what they're making callouts with, and how they're moving forward to attack. Because, again, I think there is sometimes some beauty when everybody is playing the same comp or a variation of the same comp, because you can never look at it and say that the weapon select screen is what decided it. It's simply the player's ability to figure things out, to move forward, to attack, to make the right plays, and to be decisive when they make those plays.
The other interesting thing, right, is that even though we see double splash a lot, there's a lot of variance within it. And this is something that I learned way back in my Pokemon days. Just because everybody's playing the same thing doesn't mean that everybody's playing the same thing. 2 splashes could have very different builds, very different playstyles, and very different strategies alongside them, so that they're filling in different roles that are needed within the team. And it's why we see so much splashes is because it is versatile. And because it is versatile, it has a lot of use cases and playstyles that you can play around it. You can be a more supportive, sub-power-up based, throwing your burst bombs constantly and getting crabs when you need to. You can have more of an aggressive one with swim speed and ninja swim and object shredder to just go in and tear things apart. You can have something more along the lines of a special spammy kind of almost support playstyle, right, where you're just farming crabs. It is such a versatile weapon, and I think that that's the more interesting part to take away from a lot of these sets.
Yeah, absolutely. You are totally, that's a great way to summarize it. Just because everyone is playing the same thing doesn't mean they're playing the same way. Like, there's no, I think that might be the best sentence to describe that I've ever heard. That's unbelievable. It's so simple, but it drives the point home, and you're absolutely correct. Like, watch like Bagel play Splash-O-Matic and watch Raymaru play Splash-O-Matic, and you're watching 2 different weapons. It's unbelievable. The way that 2 players who can pilot that weapon at an incredibly high level play it very differently and fill out different roles in their team with the same weapon. So I can't believe we've spent the last 10 minutes praising Splash-O-Matic, but, you know, things are getting weird here at the early hours of the day here in Area Cup 81.
It is the early hours. We can say what we want without, too many repercussions. Is this recording? Are we going to be held accountable for this in a court of law?
6 a.m. Nobody's watching. We're fine.
Exactly. We're fine. Fine.
Elsewhere in the bracket, we can finally update you on some of the matches that have happened here. MDZ, to nobody's surprise, continues their march through. Kodo leading the charge. And on the other side, one of, naturally, the teams that I did not note here, Mako Udon's squad here has beaten Suichan's squad here as well, and we'll see if we can find any updates on exactly how that set went down. It does look like it was a 2-0, but that will be the team that will be fighting against MDZ. Again, the squad, they got 2nd place in their pool, taking down another team in an upset, and they will continue to move into what would be the upset of all upsets, dethroning Kuro and MDZ. So we will update you as soon as we get the set count from that.
The interesting thing is that IGZ is actually going to be waiting on the match between A8 first place and A9 the second place. So A8 was the group that came in late. So IGZ is going to be waiting probably a little while for that set. So this bracket might get a little bit of not top heavy, but it's going to get a little bit staggered in terms of how we're going to be seeing these matches play out.
Yeah, the Blue Bloods are going to rise, as they usually end up doing here in these tournaments. It's certainly a format that they are familiar with. I mean, MDZ and some variants of it have won 3 consecutive Area Cups. It's unheard of for that to happen. If you won 2 Area Cups in Splatoon 2, your name was etched in the history books. So an unprecedented run of dominance thus far for MDZ, and I'm sure we'll show you the roster on screen eventually. I have to imagine they'll make it here. But just in case you are curious, Kuro, Clix, Shelton, and Rentana, the Bucket God, So they don't have Melon on this squad. Melon is playing with his teammates at IGZ. But when you can sub in Rentana for a squad, you're usually okay.
Oh yeah, like you said, a legend, literal legend, and we don't use that term lightly. Like Dynamon is somebody I'd consider a legend at this point. Like that is the kind of echelon that we're seeing, like world class, bar very few, right? That is the status that we're talking, and there are so many of those level players in this tournament. I believe we are waiting to see what the next match is going to be. Our friendly neighborhood cameraman has not yet joined a match, but we're going to be waiting. We're going to be seeing. I believe they're waiting on a good round 3 option. They probably don't want to stream Haniwa again, is what I'm assuming, right? But then there's 2 matches that we can't see, and then there's the match at the bottom, which is MDZ, and then that second place team from Group 1. They could stream it. They could just say, screw it, we're going to go ahead and show MDZ now, but...
Yeah, they may end up doing that. That is what they are currently discussing on the Japanese stream, so... I mean, we may as well head that direction, I suppose. Let's talk a little bit about these players. We've already told you about MDZ, but, I mean, what more do we need to say about them? Kurokuro has been... if not the first to every major X-Rank accolade, he usually got there second. Usually behind the buzzsaw of the old Melon Chocopero rivalry here, but this is a guy who's won everything that there is to win and has absolutely set the pace for what early Splatoon 3 has been.
MDZ, the way that I put it in my notes document from what I saw from Area Cup 80 is they play like they're the best. They play like they're the best. They play like every time they're just gonna run in, skill check you, take the fight, rinse, repeat. Like that is their play style. They play like they're the best. It's so much fun to watch.
It's so fun to watch, and they just continue to do it over and over. That's the real exciting part about watching them play is they figure things out in a hurry, as you noted, and they just trust that they're better than you. And if you disagree, cool, prove it.
Prove it.
And then prove it again, and again, and again.
Because eventually the other team breaks. Eventually they break. They can't handle that pressure.
Well, especially not when it, again, like you said, continually happens, and Clix having the reputation as the flank god, everything that we've said about Sharks and Mashu and Beacons and whatnot, he manages to just work into his normal play style, demonstrating an incredible understanding of, again, what makes pushes works, where you can attack, where you can throw. Even just a short little a jab might be all it takes. A well-timed burst bomb to get people to turn away can sometimes be enough, and that timing not so easy to do. But again, we've told you about this team on the bottom of your screen there, Enu, and this is, again, a team that I did not list. We knew it would happen. I told you it would happen. Mako Udon, Takun, Magao, and Roton there. The way that these players have made their run thus far. Again, already collecting some incredible heads on the way up, but you have to imagine this would be one of the best victories any of these players have even got.
Area Cup 80, Kaninabe was a team that contained Magao and Takun as well, and they're both Splash players. And the notes that I have on them is that they really enjoyed playing footsies. Like they're on this very, not confrontational, but they're trying to bait people out. They're trying to really play with a fluid play style, and in that way try and trip up their opponents. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes around this time, especially against such a high-level squad. This is going to be a fun match.
It will. Shelton switching over. Everybody's playing the Splatana Stamper these days. Shelton, who I think Fuzzy himself said is too smart for this game, is now switching it out again, already taking one out there, immediately moving to try to do some damage to the crab. Does get taken out, but of course there was follow-up, knowing that Kurokuro was right behind with the crab, following it up. Click's gonna paint, they're gonna try to get another jump in, and already 25 points off the board.
Literally, what did I say? Shelton just moves up, like, yeah, I'm gonna play this weapon that really have not seen too much play with yet, but I'm gonna just absolutely skill check you immediately from the get-go. We're gonna see Mago actually able to find 2 here. That's gonna be 3 down immediately. A little bit of a forward movement on that right side, and that's gonna be a bunch of players down. These crabs are coming in super clutch, and they're already up on this high ground in the enemy base. Roto gonna be ending that crab, but is going to be supporting the teammate who's already got another, and this is the lockout that we want to see on Mincemeat.
Yeah, and I will note there, as Shelton goes down again, incredible shot from Mago there. This whole thing was started when they took out Shelton's jump, and they were able to quickly take out Clix, who had Crab at the time. That meant there wasn't a pivot point for them to actually come back in and have any sort of established hold here. And hold on a minute, Clix's Crab is now out of the way. They're just gonna desperately try to paint the zone. They know that the board is not theirs for the time being. They just need to make sure the game doesn't end before they can have their say. Finally, Rentana is able to sneak up and take out the opposing sloshing machine. They've got a scramble situation, but currently do have the numbers. If they survive these missiles, they'll have a little breathing room and a chance to equalize on a score.
And I feel like Rentana really is going to be the linchpin for this game and probably this set, just because of how it can stuff out these splashes, how it can work around those vertical points. Shelton just kind of trying to go all the way in here as everybody just finally starts to move back in. We see Mago ends up going in a little bit too far, and the rest of the team is backing up on the side of Inu, trying to make something happen. Again, they've got this. Again, these kinds of like not really wanting to overcommit kind of playstyle as the Booyah Bomb comes alive, and finally these splashes go down on the left side. Gonna be trading out. We're gonna see one more player jump away. This could be the zone for Enu, and it does. 9. This is a really close game.
Yep, they did a great job there. They won a trade with Shelton there, but more than anything, they didn't have to dedicate too many resources for it. There was really an opportunity for their Crab to get distracted. That's what we saw on the original takeback from Shelton, who again is diving at a Crab to try to slow it down. Again, we can see the game plan here, folks. They've done it twice. They send Shelton on that side and follow up with a Crab if Shelton isn't able to get the job done. Shelton jumps back in, and now all of a sudden, everything that we have said, MDZ has found themselves with an incredible lockout scenario here. This is certainly going to be the lead. And again, Magic, they were doing so well. Anyone who had the formula, and it's just gone away so quickly.
And it was, they played smart. They tried to play around Clix's Crab, but it's not going to be enough. They get the Booyah Bomb on the zone. They're going to send the paint down. We're going to try and see the bucket come in, and Mago's on the other side, able to paint around, but it's not going to be enough. Clix is on this zone. There's nobody removing him. That was an impressive showing from Enu, but overall, Shelton just kept running forward at them and destroying all of their objects, like the Crab, like the Booyah, and really made sure that they were ineffective.
Making sure that they're ineffective is one thing. To pick the right timings for it is another. Every time that Shelton took that dive, there was either immediate follow-up or it's distracted the team enough that everybody was able to get back in and stabilize. And, you know, in this, everything that we were talking about with Mashu and some of these other weapons that want you to fire at them, that want to break your formation, Splatana Stamper isn't necessarily a weapon that gets talked about in that respect. Yes, we all know what Zipcaster is capable of. That wasn't just a when Zipcaster is active scenario there. Shelton went forward, broke objects, like you said, weakened the Crabs ever so slightly, and eventually, once you get in the lockout scenario, you know that once you're pushed up, you're going to be able to put those big damaging hitboxes gliding just over the ground. There's going to be burst bombs that follow it up as well. And there at the end, folks, if you want a little example of fundamental play, look at the way that Clix was firing, swimming for not even half a second, and then firing again, and then swimming half a second and firing again. You're not going to outpaint your opponent with that. But when you are low on ink, that is the only way that you can keep a zone neutralized. And he trusted as long as he kept it neutralized, he knew that his team was winning the fight on the other side. Eventually, somebody would get back, and they would be able to get the knockout. Wonderful, wonderful stuff.
We're going to have to see what the counter pick is going to come in on the side of Enu. It's going to be interesting, though, because, again, you've got these two Splash players that are very competent. What else can you bring to the table? Is there something that you can pick that's going to in combination with a weapon choice, lead to the situations that you want to see more fruitful? Do you want to have another Flingza-centric map, something like a museum that has more room to paint and like space for the missiles to claustrophobe the enemies, right? I don't know. Is that what they want to go for?
It's a great question. I think you look at that, and I think your missiles, of course, were the one deliberate change that you might move away from on another map. But you can't look at that as a map issue. You had moments in that game where you controlled the pace. You played it right. You did everything that you needed to do. Your formation just got broken. Shelton had a weapon and had a game plan that played around what everybody likes to do, where you use the missiles to force displacement, you use the brief period of displacement to get your crab set up, and eventually you're either going to take the zone, take the opponent out, or sneak your machine forward, right? It's a winning formula, and they had an answer for it, and even with that answer, you had moments where you controlled the game. So I don't really know that you have a decisive counter in any respects, or a map that you can go to. We will see Hammerhead Bridge. 5, 6? How many crabs we get in here? This gets dicey pretty quick.
If they can pull out something like a leader, this is a good map for Flingza, I will say, right? Because the mines are really nice on the zone. The missiles on these constricted throughways are really nice. Still, if somebody pulls out Knee Leader, everything gets thrown to the bathwater. Everything gets thrown out with the bathwater, I should say. So, it could go either way. I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen Comet make this counter pick against MDZ before, and they go here because they want to run that exact comp, Flingza and Triple Splash. We will see. If that is the case, MDZ has gone with that in the past as well on this map. So, folks, let's take a look. It's the same comp here coming out of MDZ. And on the other side, there it is, folks. Yeah. Triple Splash, 5 crabs, count them up.
MDZ's has a little blurb that they can put down under their team, and it's Kani, which is crab. It's so funny, but that is exactly the mindset that these players are going in with. As we see, nice one from Macadon there. That's a good start to this set, a good start to this game. That's exactly what they needed, and they've got the crabs to do it.
Yep, they've got the crabs now. The special advantage certainly shifting their way again. All because they got that immediate direct onto Shelton. They're going to take 2 out on this side as well. Rentana just kind of has to chill here and wait. Is going to make sure that nobody can immediately rush up at them. So a little preemptive. And you give up his position for... You're going to get something and give something up in return. They really only have one option at this point, which is try to build up their specials. They were able to take one out, but that was a crab that was activated very far back. Shelton gets taken out. Rentana has the opportunity to break this open, needs to find this player, and did just enough to at least give them the neutralization of the zone. It just clicks down here at the bottom, is going to try to be as much of a menace and might actually be able to do it. That could be a huge pick because it means that the other players will at least be able to get back to the spot that you see Rentana on. This is where they made their push back in from last time, but they're going to need a lot more than simply one push.
Right, and the entire reason that push even happened was because Rentana was going to throw the Booyah zone and then looked left and saw, oh, there's a crab there that we can isolate, and Shelton can go after it. And that's exactly what happened. And even after that, they couldn't exactly follow up. Shelton does go down again alongside with Kuro. This is points ticking down, and it just seems like Shelton really cannot get comfortable in this set, in this game on Hammerhead Bridge, which is very odd because this is something that a lot of Spartana's players say, like, they really like Stamper here. Finally, it's going to be counting down, but this is a really good position.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Shelton is really just trying to be a nuisance at this point and make something happen. Did somehow. I don't know how they snuck through enough paint to do it, but you have to think that if Shelton had not been as much of a menace as he was there, that game would have been over right now. Again, Mago going to continue to fight. That's an incredible trade to find in that position. Shelton is going to move forward here to try to create some space for the rest of the team. Knows that again, they have a lot of work to do, and if he simply sits back and is patient, there will not be anything for them to work off of. Finally, they have a legit lockout chance here. Rentana goes down early enough that I think there's going to be an advantage on this right side of the map. Shelton uses that time to move forward and try to attack and gets behind one of the crabs, goes after the other, everybody camping this jump. But all the while, the points continue to tick down. Everyone is respawned in time. Is MDZ really going to do this again?
No, there's no way they can just rip it out from the jaws of defeat. They were so close to losing this game. And now the members of and are going to have to race all the way back through this long map that they were the ones that chose and not going to be able to get to the zone in time as all of a sudden one team fight goes the other way and Shelton moves forward, and that was all they needed. They had no right winning that game. They had no reason to actually go from 100 to 0, and they did it anyways.
I mean, it is stunning. It's stunning. Again, the small little, we said earlier that game should have been over. Shelton took just enough of the fire and moved in just enough with that Zipcaster to give them a slight hold on the zone. And then everything after that was the sequencing and the crab loops and moving forward at the right time, burst bombs at the right time, and understanding the respawn timings as well, which is an element of this game that I would certainly argue is of the utmost importance, but it's impossible to keep track of for most of us. Apparently not for MDZ. They always had the person jumping in at the right time, just enough QR on some of these players, just enough understanding of when they could jump, how they could get their jump back in, and when they needed their special as well. All of the little things coming together. 2 games that NU could have, and I would argue certainly in the case of the second game, should have won, and yet it's a 2-0 for MDZ.
Shelton decided in the middle of that game, I'm just going to play like a Tetra. Because that's what happens with Stamper, right? Is eventually you kind of just get to the point where you're like, I can be so distracting by just going all the way back and forth around the map and going back and forth like a Tetra. And it's going to give my team an opening, and we're going to play off of that. And that was the decision that ended up turning the game. And to understand that, like, oh, okay, I need to not go for kills, I need to not go for destroying crabs, like, I have not been able to get close enough to do that. I'm just going to be a nuisance. That is the mark of an amazing player.
Shelton. The old meme, you don't beat Shelton. And here we are once again.
You just don't beat Shelton.
On the top half of the brackets, though, Haniwa did get the victory over Rakiko Tamu, so they will continue to move on. Mashu and the squad have punched their ticket here into top 4. Surprise, surprise, Mashu is once again here. And on the other side, we are still waiting. Crispy and Shimmer are currently playing here. I don't believe that we have an update for that. The winner of that will play against No Risk, Ryukun, Himajin, and Melon in the IGZ squad. The winner of that match will match up against Haniwa. And we are, of course, waiting as well for whoever will dare step into the ring with MDZ for that last spot in top.
It's interesting that we're already in top 4. I don't know, this kind of went by a little quickly. I mean, we started at what, 7? It's been an hour and a half. We're already top 4. That's insane.
Yeah, an hour and a half, and one of the one of our pools didn't end until 45 minutes through. So
yeah,
we're moving quick, and we realistically should have been moving even quicker.
Right, exactly. Well, hey. How has your weekend been? How's your week been?
Well, it just started, but it's been good thus far. And today, an incredible day for Splatoon, of course. An area cup with top shelf Japanese talent, and the second round of the Splatsville Showdown later today with some of the top NA talent as well. Knew weeks in advance that this was going to be an incredible day of Splatoon, and so far it has not disappointed. The bracket, the way that it is gone, this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the Blue Bloods rise to the top, and So far, we have gotten that, and we've gotten new and exciting ways to break around the conventional meta. Like, folks, I think in all of these tournaments that Shelton has won, I think he's used like 7 different weapons. That might not be an exaggeration, or it might be, but again, players find new wrinkles even in these stagnant metas, and it's so great to see because that's what these top players do. It's subtle stuff. It's not big sweeping changes where you build everything around beating one special, but look, the theme of SWC, for those of you who did watch it, was misdirecting crabs, forcing them to roll away and breaking their fire. That was what teams were able to do against one another. And thus far, MDZ, certainly in that last set, showed you that there are other ways to break the fire of crabs, to move behind them and to get them to go other ways. And that's, again, what we come here to see. We come here to see how people play around what is conventionally strong by playing other things that are conventionally strong.
An interesting case, I think, was Riptide of 2021. I think that tournament was historic for a lot of reasons. But especially when Starburst came out into the finals against a really strong, not FT1 team that was playing like consistently meta things, was playing a lot of Booyah, a lot of K52, a lot of armor, and all of a sudden you see the most ridiculous composition you've ever seen on Rainmaker Humpback in Game 5, and from that day forward, the meta changed drastically in North America. You don't see that anymore, right? Like, there are so few times where that happens, right? Like, that is the exception, not the rule. The rule is slight adjustments all the time that top players are coming up with and saying like, hey, why don't we try out like just this different weapon in this slot? You don't see giant overarching changes.
Yep, it's these players have realized maybe it's not the weapon select screen. Maybe it's a slight change to my gear. I didn't correctly address that play that was going on or identify where the real threat was coming from, and that's gonna be the case till the end of time, folks. I mean, that's how a lot of competitive games work at a top level. Is a meta forms, people find different wrinkles, they adapt, they interact, and they execute, and that is that is beautiful in its own way. But I just do want to give you folks a little update as we continue to stall here, and it appears as though the Japanese commentators are trying to do the same right now, so we are all in the same boat here, folks. We'll talk a little bit about the matches that are currently occurring as they try to catch up. Crispy and Shimmer are currently playing against one another and duking it out. Those are the top seeds of Pool A7 and Pool A8. We already told you about Crispy, so we won't talk too much about that squad. But Shimmer is going to feature... let me see here. I know... Tsukiyomi, I know, is a player that some people might be familiar with. Suna, and then we have Cox as well. And then I'm looking for the next team here, double checking here. Oh yeah, Chikashi's team. How have I missed that? The other match that is going on is A9 and A10, and that features Spura Otaku. And Spura is the kind of abbreviation, if you will, of Splatoon in katakana. And that features a team that we haven't even gotten to talk about, a team full of killers that we just simply have had to ignore thus far. Chikashi, Yamamichi, Sugi, and Atabaru.
That's a disgustingly insane roster. I can't even... Sugi alone and Yamamichi, like, those are two names that, like, just ring in the back of my head, but, like, a Splatana, Wiper, Tentebrella player that is of a lot of, again, in that legendary echelon, this is a team that is worlds ahead of most other competition.
Yeah, and their competition, not so bad either. They're up against Chiku, Yuichi, Temi, and Natoman, which is just one of my favorite, Netoman, which is one of my favorite names I don't know why, but there's a metal man, there's a neta man, and there's a lizard man of like top Japanese players, and I love it. I remember in one of the SWCs, Kyo himself even tweeted, "Hey guys, lizard man's a pretty hard name. Can't even lie." It's just something about you got splatted by lizard man. It's as if we're playing Soul Calibur 2 or something.
At that point, like, just think about that. Think about the mental damage of just getting splatted by the lizard man. Like, tinfoil hats and everything. That's the level that we're going for.
And yet, they all pale in comparison to the most important blank man of all, which is our dear friend, the cameraman.
Cameraman.
Cameraman has ended the battle.
The battle ender, right? Like that. That's a great moniker. Cameraman, the battle ender.
Well, I'm glad I brought my water bottle because
Yeah.
we are stalling for more time than I expected. I'm having to keep my voice as good as I can get it. I guess we can talk a little bit here about the team that Spura Otaku would have to play if they won, or if Chiku's squad wins, whichever that match is. That is San Chanzu once again. If you're just joining us, I know we talked a little bit about this roster early, but that is Chikatan, Sandwich, Norishio, and Puccio. Chikatan, of course, the Charger's Charger, right? This is a consummate, I will play Charger until the end of time. If you missed one of Tic Tac's interviews at an Area Cup Live.
I love that interview.
It was a great interview, and Tic Tac up front asks, so in this current meta of, and this is back in Splatoon 2 to give you all a little more background, when nobody was playing Charger, asked Chikatan, so why do you still play Charger? And Chikatan's answer, I'm paraphrasing, is because I like Charger. It was said much more kindly than that, and with a lot more exuberance, but it was the simplicity of it is beautiful. The brevity of it is beautiful. So Chikatan still playing different variants of the Charger class. Sandwich, one of the finer ink brushes that you will ever see, also plays rollers, not even just flings a roller, though does have that as well. Puccio, one of the best splash-o-matics in the game right now, and Norishio, who's been on an absolute tear of tournament victories lately, championing the Splatana Stamper, and is one of the few players in the world who has reached 3,500 XP in X rank, and of course doing it as a solo Splatana Stamper.
A lot of people, I think, looked at Stamper early on and was like, this is kind of weird. Like, even in Japan, it really didn't like pick up until like 2 or 3 months in. And now it's everywhere. Everybody's playing it. And nobody expected this. I shouldn't say that. People, as soon as it got burst bomb, people thought, all right, this could be good. And then it kind of fell to the wayside. And now it picked back up again, right? And it's just like everybody's suspicions are finally being confirmed. Because it's just good. It's just a long-range weapon with a burst bomb that has a really useful special. And it does a lot of damage to Crab.
Yep, it's got the tools. It's a little unruly, but again, big damaging hitbox that does 70 damage plus burst bomb. Again, it's a winning formula. So it's not at all surprising to see it getting these types of results. These strong players are starting to play it and figure it out here, and I am curious what this weapon will look like in a post-Crab world if we, do get to see it, which I guess is, maybe another thing that we can talk about here as we, again, wait for these matches to start to catch up here in the bracket. We don't yet know exactly when the mid-season update is going to be, and we don't know exactly what is going to be updated, but there is a chance that this is the last Area Cup that is Crab meta. There is a chance.
There's a chance, right? But there's always that lag period, right, where things get nerfed and people kind of have that little bit of inertia and don't switch off quite right away, and then like in the middle of the tournament realize, wait a minute, we're not getting the same results that we did with what we were using before, and then like the next tournament they realize, okay, we need to switch off. But it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if we even like can predict when this patch will be. They're probably waiting for tournaments like this, right? With the tournament this weekend, with the tournament later on today, to wait until that to send that patch through. But at the end of the day, they said at a random time we're going to do a mid-season patch, and it will be focused on balance of the new weapons. We had a patch at the beginning of December when we thought that Crab was going to get solved, and it didn't. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to see Crab as the issue. They have. I feel like they have to, but we just don't know.
Right. I mean, at this point, it's pretty inarguable. Like, you could, you know, if you look at the balancing based on like Splatfest data and X rank there, maybe there's a world where you put a little less emphasis on top tournament results and say, maybe this Crab isn't as bad as we expect. But at this point, nobody can ignore what Splash-O-Matic is doing right now. You know, like you said, we don't know for sure. I would be stunned if at least some form of change wasn't made. Either way, it's likely that by February we'll see something. So the next rollout of major tournaments would ideally be in a new meta here, but we do have an update, folks. We do. Crispy got the victory over Shimmer. So Milcrape and Dynamon and the rest of the squad will be up against IGZ. So that is going to be a very exciting one. The winner of that, as we noted earlier, will play against Haniwa. And wait a minute, Cameraman is here. Cameraman has opened a portal into the brave new world of competitive Splatoon 3. Let's see who the rosters are. It is Melon. It is Milcrape. We're hopping in. It's IGZ versus Crispy.
I love that little clap. That's exactly the point here. It's a very exciting match. This is going to be another round 3 match, right? This is going to be another
yes.
top 8 match. It's going to be best of 3 still. We got Brightwater Springs, baby!
Oh,
and we got Melon versus Dynamon. We've got Ryukun versus Milcrape. I love this.
Yeah, no, this should be an incredible matchup of these players. And I mean, at this point now, we've seen MDZ shake up their typical formula a little more. What in the world is this squad gonna run here? I listed for every player, folks, in my notes, even if they are a flex player, I at least put what they have played the most. I couldn't figure out what Ryakun's been playing the most. Every clip that he has is in high-level tournament or high-level X rank, and it's a different weapon. So we'll see. Will it probably go to one of the mainstays of the meta? Sure, but this should be really intriguing to see. We know that Himajin and No Risk typically play Splash, so that frees up Melon and Ryukun to get a little creative with what they play. And on Brightwater Springs, there's some avenues to bring out some different sorts of weapons and have a little fun with.
I also just want to point out, 9 in his notes next to Melon for his weapon just put murder. So that's about what we're going to be getting here. I'm very excited to see if Melon can do that kind of work against this kind of a team, against Renzone, against these very high-level players that we saw do incredibly in their last set that we watched. Crispy versus IGZ, we're getting right into it.
Here we go, folks. Take it. Oh, good God! What?
What?
That's a Nautilus, and we saw a little bit of Nautilus in an Ikaten that was played earlier. I don't recall if it was Ryukun or somebody else who was playing it, but you get it right there. The Nautilus with Object Shredder is what players are trying out right now, or at the very least, what this player is trying out as they work through Anti-Crab. Instead, they get stifled on immediately. That's the fastest wipeout I've ever seen at this level.
Jesus, Dynamon, that was insane. You have to stop. You can't just tear this team apart. This team that has so much going for it. This team that has stuck together for so long. A great shot from Red Zone, deciding to turn around and say, no, get back here. You're not going anywhere. This lockout is going strong still. No more crabs are going to be online. Instead, it's going to flip the other way. Finally, a little bit of freedom breaks through for IGZ, and they're going to get the chance to lock out of their own, but that was an insane showing.
All the way to 37, and they at least stalled out long enough that the same won't get done to them in terms of how far up they had been pushed. Here's the scary part, though. Yeah, this main weapon still works, everybody. It's very strong. Ryukun pushed there with a crab to try to assist with it as well. A good job there by Red Zone and the rest of Crispy to not feed to it here. Both of these crabs should certainly at least get enough on this zone to cap it. Do the other members respawn in time? Melon was up there the whole time and fires back the other way. Milk Creep not going to get that. Does get the trade, but the points are ticking down. And hold on a minute, if they get one more jump in, as an incredible shot by Dynamon to close it down, that might be the one window that they needed. Gets taken down. All of these players making the big plays. Can they seriously hold through all of this? 2-1, and the lead flips.
Surely not. Surely they could have painted that a little bit more. Surely able to finally find some trades and get things moving their way. There's a crab going to be online soon for IGZ, but it's not going to matter much if they end up just getting shredded. One more goes down, trying to find their way to the other side of the map. Norisk is on this crab and is finally pushing them out of this choke point. They're going to be able to get paint down on this zone for the time being to at least stall it. There needs to be an answer from Crispy. Are they going to be able to find it? Is the chip damage going to come through? Is that Booyah just going to paint the zone alongside the rain, which slowly paints it through? That's 2 down on either side. Finally, we have a little bit of clarity in the center, but it's not going to go the way of IGZ. Dynamon just keeps mowing them down.
Might be able to get this one too. Not able to. Ryukun backing up, but enough damage was done that Menshino was able to take out another one with that sloshing machine. And now Red Zone in the exact spot. Magic, they are going to have 2 crabs here firing the same direction. This is certainly going to be the lead, but you'd have to think that at this point they've got much, much more than the lead in mind.
Oh, they want the whole cake and caboodle, as one pop gun might say. There's going to go diving towards Dynamon here, who's just hanging out by this ledge and gets the slash on Ryukun. Ellen is going to try and paint the zone, but there's just not enough firepower. Crispy, the old guard, coming through and showing these new folks who's the boss.
I cannot believe that Dynamon survived that long, got the point blank slash, and then still survived long enough to get another shot off at Melon's crab. Unbelievable stuff there by Dynamon, who, listen, there is only one player who competed at both World Championships for Japan, right? In Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, there were one player who played in all 3 of them, and it was Dynamon. Arguably the most accoladed player in Splatoon's history. If it's not him, there's not a whole lot of other players that you could make the case for. And he's still doing it! He is still doing it with a different weapon in a different meta against the new generation of players that have been supercharged time and time again. And yet here he is, making it happen.
That was amazing. That, like, just every time it looked like things were going one way, the camera would just flip to Dynamon, and all of a sudden 2 bars would appear at the bottom of the screen. Like, that's insane. That is the essence of being a playmaker, the essence of being the one who puts the team on your back, right? Especially in this very high pressure situation. Because again, this is top 8. This is top 8. This is go big or go home. This is game 2. This is only the second game of a 3-game set. The pressure's on.
The pressure is on, and I will be very intrigued to see what Ryukun ends up picking. If that was something that they simply had for that map, or if there's something else to be changed. Because if there's one thing that you're not going to be doing with that Nautilus, is you're not going to be painting the zone a whole lot. And if you do, it's almost pointless. Every other weapon on the map paints it better than you do. So I wonder if they wanted to use the Crab to move Ryukun up into that position, or go Crab into Ryukun into Crab, and again, just trust that they'd be able to cycle through there and work up in that respect. And we did see shades of that in the middle of the game. But again, with so many burst bomb weapons, 3 of them coming out from Crispy, there are moments where that weapon is just not going to be able to get out. It might go in and get one, but if 2 burst bombs get at it, it's not going to have enough mobility to really get back and survive. And there was Respawn Punisher on that weapon as well. So it works the other way too. So it's an interesting idea to work against Crab in that respect, but I think in many respects, it gives up a lot of the advantages that you would like to have in a Splat Zone. We're going here to Spillway. Let's take a look here. It's still out. It's the same comp. So, I mean, whatever strategy they are going for, they believe it can still work if they can execute it. So, folks, let's see it. Can Ryukun and IGZ figure out a new way around these Crabs? Or will Dynamon and Crispy move forward on their march?
Again, they just have to be flexible with it. They have to make sure that they're constantly moving. This is a map that we saw, I don't think it was Niagara on the Heavy not getting the work done with that Splatling. It's going to be the same story here. As Ryukun ends up going down early on. 3 go down on the side of Crispy, though, and finally we're going to see a little bit of life, a little bit of movement from IGZ. They're going to need to move up quickly, though. Again, they're going to need to use this top right area, this glass, to their advantage.
And they certainly did. No Risk got up there immediately, and Melon quickly followed up there for the little bit of protection. One player tries to go up there. It was Dynamon, and gets taken out here. Yes, the Crabs are out here, but in a Crab v Crab battle, it almost always favors whoever got there first. More trades coming in, 2 down on each side. Keep a look at the top of the screen. Are there any specials to be found? There is. Milkrate going in right there. That's going to be a rough landing for the other side. Ryukun going to get taken down. Really probably shouldn't have even been there that long to try to protect it. And Melon, of course, with his movement, able to get away. The team will have an opportunity to use their own glass to push back in. But a great opening here for IGZ and a nice scoring chance.
Let's not forget who Melon is. Melon is the essence of mechanical skill, and can absolutely dance around every single shot, can absolutely land the most ridiculous of long-range shots from that Crab. If anyone could do it, it is this player. As another Crab goes online for IGZ, as they're gonna have to try and pause this zone, make sure that the game doesn't get too far away from them. They stop every single chance that Crispy has to try and get a little bit of an advantage, and the timer can be one of them. The timer can be an advantage. They are not letting it go.
Yeah, and something subtle there that I really liked was that Melon saw that Dynamon was there to fire upon the Crab and simply just backed up and looked for a different target there, realizing that maybe there's more pressing things to deal with, maybe not, but certainly I don't want to take on that thing right at the beginning, especially because that already got shot. And I think that really did give IGZ the opportunity to push back in and stabilize as they continue to score. Now they're moving in again, and Melon has been absolutely everywhere in the last 30 seconds of the game. He wants more. How do you hit that fall? How do you do it consistently over and over? And just as you make the call out of where he is, he's already back and so close to another Crab. If Melon and No Risk are able to cycle these, we could be headed for a game 3 this quick.
Oh, there's 2 down. Ryukun and Himajin ended up going a little bit too close to the sun. Gonna be double crabbing out on this Saturday morning, trying to find this Zipcaster, this Spider-Man. Crabs versus spiders. Who's gonna win? It's gonna be a Crab. Finally, a little bit of life, a little bit of room goes through. No Risk finds the players. Finally, the cap goes down, but it's still gonna be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, very crazy. Look at this. 2 absolute demons standing next to each other. Ryukun working around it will get through the Crab. And you see exactly what this weapon was made for, what this build was made for. But to land 2 absolute demons on the other side of one little plush. Oh my gosh, what a microcosm.
Somebody call Biscuit, because this Nautilus is looking like it's going to be the future. Milkrape is finally landing some crabs here, but that Booyah Bomb is going to shred it and give it the run. Its runtime a little bit short. Finally, a crab goes up on the other side, and it's going to get cycled pretty soon if Dynamon doesn't take care of it, but he does! Doesn't end up getting the more worth for that Zipcaster, but it's going to lead to the knockout. The wipeout. And a cap on the zone. 9. There's only a minute left.
1 minute, and that's a great way to start off your minute there by taking out Melon, which means that they are going to be that much further away from their special. Another one goes down here, and Menshino fires. One was able to sneak out there, very, very wisely moving up that time was Himajin, sensing that they were losing too much ground on their own side of the map, chucks the Booyah Bomb across the way, and it's given Melon enough time to move here on red zone and was able actually to build up a crab at the time. 2 down Magic. This fell off so quickly. I would love to go back and look at where it started to fall through, but you have to give credit to Himajin with 2 members of the team down, moving forward to take 1 player out and at least secure their own glass in the last 10 seconds.
I was just thinking how this is going to be a great set to review. This is exactly how you want to play on something like Undertow Spillways. 2 go down, make it 3! There's not enough. Oh no! The paint didn't go through all the way, and that's going to be Crispy going down in this game, although it was very close.
Whoa. Frames, my friend. Frames separating that one from going into overtime. There was still quite a bit of penalty to work through there, so there was going to be an opportunity for IGZ to defend the lead that they had at that point, but woof. Boy, if No Risk stalled it just long enough, he did it by the slimmest of margins.
I love this tournament. Area Cup is fun every single month, and it always delivers. It always delivers, 9. This is what you wanted to see. Yes, this is what we wanted to see. This is what I wanted to see. How about Nautilus? How about Ryukun bringing out the craziest picks every single time? I know that Rhea had some picks like this, right? Like brought out the ballpoint a couple of times at the end of Splat 2, like really wanted to try and push the Splatling class. This is the continuation of that.
Yeah, I mean, Ryukun was, let us not forget, the first player to hit 3K, and he did it with the ballpoint niveau. So this is a class that you can argue he invented at the highest level, and
yeah,
to be able to bring that out here again, a new idea, a new way to fight around the crab meta here. If you have a main weapon that you feel strong with, or you have a concept or a team role that you think that you can play well and execute well, eventually that's going to start to override playing maybe, another Splash. If you can't pilot the thing with these other players who are doing it, at some point you have to look at the drawing board and try to figure something else out. And I love that we're seeing it again at this level. They have 1 more game to win if they want to go up against Haniwa. On the other side, Crispy has been playing at an incredible level here with a more conventional and meta comp. Boy, oh boy. And I'll just go ahead and toss this out as well here. Spura Otaku did get the win, so the match that we're not talking about right now is Chikashi versus Chikatan. So there you go. That's the match that we're missing to watch this right now.
No way. No, don't tell me that in the middle of this one. Come on. This is top 8. This is top 8, by the way. Only top 8. There's still so much more Splatoon to be played. Today. Later on today. In the future, like a week from now, a month from now, there's so much more to be played. I was telling this to somebody I coached the other night. This game has only been out for 4 months. Nobody knows anything. There's too many variables. There's so much chaos. Everything's gonna change in a week anyways.
It is hilarious. And, that famous quote, there is so much more X to be played. Like, normally it's a philosophical statement, but it especially applies even today. We get at least, 4 more sets of this level of play. And, this is, as we said, these are the Blue Bloods that have been doing it over and over here. The legacy skill is coming out. We're here on Museum. And let's take a look Yep, there it is. No changes on one side. No changes on the other. Run it back, baby. We're better than you.
They want to stick to what they know. Look at I didn't even realize that they were all running RP on the side of IGZ. That's a crazy way to play this. But if you're playing like you're the one that's going to get all the kills, it makes sense. Melon's going to get a little bit caught out here. Try and find a way to escape through mid. Is gonna try and find this isolated fight on the other side. Not gonna go for the jump. Important. Gonna try and pop Crab. Is not gonna be able to do so. No Risk was able to follow up though because of all the time that was wasted. And now there's two players on this left side here. Is he gonna be able to get this through? No! They got trapped! No Risk led them astray and like chasing a rabbit. And that's gonna be IGZ in the lead, in the cap, and in the driver's seat.
I mean, the irony of a team featuring a player called No Risk and then running entirely Respawn Punisher is not lost on me. But I am stunned. I have no idea. There was somebody else assisting with that. There is no way that No Risk fired through all of that. Maybe it was Ryukun just off screen, but they're going to take... Oh, no, they're not. Oh, my God. Why did I open my mouth? Who was at the zone? Who did that? I'm stunned. I didn't see anybody firing at it. And instead, a pretty decent chunk of a penalty this early at the game, and now you've got Dynamon behind you.
Yeah, I think it was Dynamon on the other side, as well as one of the splashes on the side of Crispy going towards the zone. That was enough to just get it just enough paint through. Specials are not going to be coming online right away. They're going to have a few more seconds to get everything charged up. Can there be a pick in this straight amount of time? And there is. Crispy's on the offensive. The lead gets swapped, but this is Dynamon's playground. Two down on either side, and it's going to be a scrap in the mid. Finally, one goes down. It looks like IGZ is not going to be able to take control of this as another one gets picked off, and every time it's just scrap after scrap after scrap, and there's no stability, and I think that's the way that IGZ likes it.
Well, it is, and you have to also realize every single splat that they get cleanly does give them an advantage here. They are going to be able to outscale because of all that Respawn Punisher. Moving forward again, Himajin's going to go down, and you would assume, finally, no? Still not the zone, still isn't flipped. They're still fighting over there. Melon somehow in all of this got on top. Now No Risk is back as well. That gave Ryukun enough time to spawn. How have they not lost the zone yet? They've lost the board 2 or 3 times, and they haven't lost the zone. Again, more trades coming through. The points are still ticking off the board.
Look, Crispy really needs to make some work now. Finally, he's able to get the... I thought it was going to be the game 9. I really thought that's where we were headed. Finally, Dynamon is able to last out here with Milkrape and put together a little bit of stability, paint on the ground, and move everyone back. Right, they were just trying to say, all right, get out of here. And they did.
This is big. Milkrape is in a position to take this game back. The Burst Bomb will figure it out, though. Can Milkrape survive? Ryukun went down in the scuffle on the other side, and nobody has gone down here from Crispy. That's 2 down now. They've neutralized the zone ever so slightly, but they're going to fire on the other. This jump is certainly going to get punished as Ryukun goes down. 2 goes down. There's still a player up there. Himajin is going to chuck this thing at the zone to try to make a play happen, but everyone is there. It's a wipeout, and Crispy will knock out. Shouldn't speak too soon. Yes, they will knock out IGZ from the tournament in an incredible comeback in one of the best of 3s you will ever see.
What? They were so close to losing that game. They were so close. It looked like it was going to be done when they had that stranglehold in the mid, and all of a sudden, they just shoved them up back. They shoved them all back. There were jump outs. Like, the train that had been coming at them and coming at them and coming at them all of a sudden decided to step off the gas. And that was just a couple of jump outs, just a couple of deciding, I'm not going to engage here, gave up all the room in the world. And because of the Respawn Punisher, if they go down during that last push, they're not going to come back in time. And they decided to stop putting on the pressure. And that was what did them in. How do you make that decision in the middle of the match, under all that pressure, under game 3 in top 8?
All right, take a moment and breathe, because we have at least 2 more sets. At least 2 more sets. I don't yet know if we're gonna hop into Spura Otaku versus San Chanzu will identify that for you. But in any case, congratulations to Crispy knocking out Melon and the rest of the IGZ squad. A very intriguing composition that they've brought out here. I know a lot of the weapons were the same, and Ryukun was really the only weapon that is switching, but to run all that Object Shredder and all that Respun Punisher, make no mistake, that's a very deliberate decision aimed at setting up certain scenarios, outscaling, and changing up your respawn time. So a credit to them for the effort. Simply not good enough this tournament. And we will have Haniwa versus Crispy as our first top 4 match. And what a match it'll be.
Yeah, if you enjoyed any of the tournament leading up to this, the next few matches you're gonna see are going to probably blow your socks off. Probably take your mind and mash it all together and make it all mush because of just how awesome it's going to be. I'm so excited for the rest of this tournament. We have such good teams coming together for this.
Whew. Okay, I need another breath. The one wasn't enough, and my water bottle is empty. So,
oh dear.
Yeah,
I could hear it in your throat. Just everything coming through.
Listen,
right?
here we have not had a true cold snap in the Midwest yet, okay? It's been like cold for a couple days, and then it keeps getting warmer, and things haven't died yet. The trees are still green. It's me making excuses for my allergies are so bad. So there you go.
Wait, the trees are still, like, they still have green leaves?
I mean, some of them do, and a lot of there hasn't been enough, I guess, death. This is kind of morbid now that we're really diving into it, but yeah, the plants are still looking too good. So basically, my allergies are still bad. That's where we're at. I mean, we did have a cold snap where it got to, like 4 or 5 degrees Fahrenheit, folks, not Celsius. For a little bit, and I'm sure you've experienced even colder than that, but it was only for like 2 or 3 days, and then it went back up to 50s, and stuff just stuck around, and all of our allergies are terrible, folks.
I'm right there with. Luckily, it's been a little bit colder up here, but I understand where you're coming from. It's been a very strange time, and the cold is really what gets to me in my throat, right? Like if I'm out in the cold for too long, just like taking in all that air, like it messes with my sinuses and really starts clogging up my throat. It's not good.
Folks, we have truly scraped the bottom of the barrel if we're now complaining about our allergies and our sinuses here, but we've just said all that we can about these players here and the way that they are, again, executing the same concepts at the highest level. At a certain point, we can't try to add brilliance and value where it's not there. It would dilute the product. You can see it clearly in front of you, playing out in real time.
I think it's interesting. I saw I had No Risk stream up for a little bit, and I saw that when Enu ended up getting knocked out, I saw one of their players in solo queue playing against No Risk, and now I see No Risk just kind of working around the lobby, just doing some drills and everything, just trying to get it out of the system. And these are competitors.
Oh yeah,
that's how you know when they're competitors.
Well, I think I remember telling you too, in the very first Area Cup we casted, Himajin lost, and 2 seconds later was recruiting for scrims. Like, It was the second that he lost, he started recruiting. It was like, at 3, strong opponent, please. Like, competitors, they hate losing. The pride is real, and you gotta love it. And we have an update, folks. We did not get to see it, unfortunately, but San Chanzu did get the 2-0 victory over Spura Otaku. So, unfortunately, for all of you who are hoping to see some Tentabrella today, I guess I can't say for certain that you won't see it, but you will not be seeing the Tentabrella god, Chikashi, playing it. Chikashi, Yamamichi, Sugi, Atabaru, we thank you for playing, but Spura Otaku will go down as San Chanzu will move to get their date with Destiny with MDZ. Chikatan, Sandwich, Mauricio, and Puccio, what do you got? You're up against the best of the best in your next set.
Oh, I really want to see that. I super want to see that, because Puccio is a name that really deserves a little bit more credit, I think, than we give. Is a very talented player. And then Chikatan, Mauricio, Sandwich, all names that people know and love. That squad against MDZ, that's a clash of titans. And I, quite honestly, could not tell you who would come out on top.
No. But, oh my god. Wow, you talk about some real-time reporting. I'm going to go ahead and retweet this now. 18 minutes ago. There's a tournament going on, I will note. 18 minutes ago, Mauricio hit 3,600 XP.
Oh my god, you're kidding.
No, I'm not. And the most wild thing about the clip isn't even the 3,600 XP. It's that he moved from number 2 to number 2.
No way. No way. Really?
Yep. Well, there you go. Mauricio is playing a tournament, moving through a tournament, and still finds time to, break new boundaries with his weapon.
Wait, then who's number 1?
I mean, it would have to be Melon, right? I would assume.
I wish we could see. I wish we could pull it up. Is there a way that we can pull it up on the app? I actually have no clue.
I'm digging through the app. Go ahead and vamp for a moment.
Okay, sure. That is insane. People thought that I remember seeing tweets that like, oh, like, is 4,000 X power possible? Like, at this rate, yeah, it's probably gonna happen. Like, that might be the new 3K, which is ridiculous when you think about it.
Yep, so I just found it. It is Melon. So for those of you who don't know, at the bottom of the app, you can go from one division to the other and check it. Melon is currently at 3656. So there you go.
What?
Yeah, that's that is the case. So right now it is Melon at number 1. Actually, this isn't fully up to date yet. I guess it would have to refresh, but Rentana's up there, Kurokuro is up there, Reimaru is up there, Nobunaga, who played in the tournament today. So yeah, strong players, but there you go. Congratulations to Mauricio, being, from what I can tell, maybe only the second player to hit 3,600. I know Melon did it, and Rire is really, really close to doing it. But, yeah, congratulations to Mauricio. Now go win the tournament.
I think he's playing another solo match.
Of course.
We talked about how these guys were competitors, and it literally does not stop for them.
It is so disarming to go from these fiery matches of chaos and struggle and instinct, and then come back here to the lobby and get the chillest of lobby themes.
Right?
As if we didn't just 1,000-yard stare ourselves. And Cameraman has opened. The legend has given us access to the lobby. This is the real reason why Magic and I are deeply in love with the Cameraman lore. It's because from our perspective, right, to get a little allegory of the cave for all of you philosophy buffs out there, we get to see whatever the Cameraman shows us here. The shadows on the cave wall are simply what Cameraman gives us access to. So we now have it, and it will be the top portion of the bracket. So we will, I guess in an odd way, be watching Crispy's journey for a good chunk of this tournament. Right. Aniwa versus Crispy here in our first match of top 4.
I was just thinking about that. If they win this set, we'll have seen them in the cast 4 times?
Yep.
That's so funny. But hey, I don't mind.
No,
I
I don't
love
mind
this
either.
composition. I love this team. I'm so happy.
Well, and think about who they've beaten just to get to here. And I know this is, kind of beating a dead horse at this point because we freak out about every team. But Pudapunte, they had to beat here, or they had to beat in their round 1, which was a set we thought that they were going to lose multiple times. They got a 2-0 over Shimmer, sure, but then they played that incredible set against IGZ. So, I mean, the list of names that they would have to beat if they wanted to win this tournament would be absolute insanity. And, I mean, it starts with one player on the other squad, right? How are they going to deal with Mashu? The whole game plan is based around what Mashu brings. And also, how will Toto play? We have 2 of the best Platana Stampers in the world.
That's going to be the really big key, is that this team comp, this playstyle is so much different than the others that we saw, right? And you could argue like, oh, well, it's not like too different, right? Like there's still, in every composition, there's somebody running at you, but there's nothing runs at you like a Tetris, right? So going to be playing around this. We're going to be going back to Flounder, which is what we saw Haniwa do really well on last time. No change at all. No change at all. This is going to be semifinals of Area Cup 81. Haniwa versus Crispy.
Take a look right here. We know one person has immediately gone under the bridge, and surprise, surprise, here he is. It's Mashu immediately moving forward to try to make Menshino's life difficult. Gets taken out quickly, and this is one of the weapons that can deal with what Tetris brings to the table very, very quickly, maybe better than others. Red Zone gets around behind, and what in the world? I said earlier that was the fastest knockout I've seen, or wipeout at this level. That's certainly number 2.
That was very, very fast. Mashu's going to be back quickly, obviously, but is going to end up going down anyways to that crab and not getting any mileage out of that death, and the timer is ticking away. They need to find some way to get through, to use their range to their advantage, and it's going to finally come in the form of some burst bombs being thrown. The Zipcaster goes online, but it gets shut down immediately. They keep just kiting backwards and against the Tetras. Isn't that what Tetras are supposed to do to them? This Dynamon is going so crazy, trying to keep everyone away.
Might have succeeded there. The other 3 members did get back to hold the zone. One jumps in and gets punished. The other certainly going to be punished as well. So a good hold there and a good opening, a full wipeout. Mashu has had the opportunity to move up now and will do just that. And this is where the loops get annoying here. Moves in, that's 1 down, but the job was done. That's a big deal because that's going to mean Dynamon can't pester their crabs, as we saw that one was already up and fired away safely, with the other shortly following. Toto firing at the other crab as well, shortening its lifespan by a good chunk, gets taken down by Dynamon in the process. And now, can Dynamon seriously pull this back? Is often isolated, but that means that they're going to be able to get their own zone back. The jump-ins come in, and this could be the turning point of the game for either team.
This is it. This is where legends are made. Mashu goes down once again. Was the death worth it? Were they able to get a little bit of mileage off of it? They caught one of the splashes in a little bit of a dangerous position. Toto's on the other side. It ends up going down. That's everything. Menshino is able to start sloshing away here, trying to keep everyone out. No! No, it's not going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think they're going to cap the zone again. Finally, they do. But it looks like the ones in control are Crispy.
Yeah, for the time being, they at least have another opportunity to attack. Menshino getting that splat's a huge deal because that means that at the very least, once Menshino went down, it was going to be 2v2 on their own zone, and you have to think that's an okay situation to be in. They're going to collapse on Toto. Milk Crate gets another, and hold on a minute. Now they've sent 2 around on the flank. It's just 1. It's a wipeout, and Crispy has been in the driver's seat for this game.
This entire game, and it's been crazy. They just keep getting Mashu down before he can even start running forward. This is insane. Toto using Haunt to locate Dynamon is going to be able to get the slash coming up over the ledge, and is going to start trying to get some momentum on the side of Haniwa, and is able to get another using the Zipcaster to its fullest effect, but there's still no movement on the zone. Finally to go down on the side of Crispy. Paint goes down. Tetras diving at these crab walls is not going to be able to take it down, but is going to put Milk Crate in a bad position. finally, they get a hold and are on top of this hill.
Yep, the exact right play for Mashu that time. Fire at the crab for as long as it takes. Just get it firing somewhere that isn't at my teammate's crab. I will deal with whatever the repercussions are at that point. But they have not shown the capacity to defend over and over here. Now Dynamon with the full resources. Toto got behind them. Somehow at the beginning of that, Dynamon is still out. I think Dynamon went forward and maybe got another one, or at the very least misplaced them on the other side. And now they are firing at this crab. It's not got much life left. These jumps are going to get punished. Can Mashu find a pick? It doesn't look like it. And again, Crispy breaks back in with relative ease.
And it really does seem like they know exactly what they're doing. Oh, great combo is going to take them down, but it doesn't deter them. They just keep moving forward. They keep trying to take fights because they know that they have the timer advantage. They know that Dynamon can land all these shots. They know that they have the specials coming up relatively soon, that they need to start making risky plays on the other side. Tetra's diving towards the Stamper, and it's not going to do very much. But is this going to be okay for Mashu to be down in that slotted area? Because two end up going down. They've got it. Crispy's got the zones here, and there's not enough paint. That's game one in this best of 5 going to Crispy. The Tetras did not have a field day like they did last time.
No, unbelievable how quickly they did. And to take another quick stab at some deep dive stats, and these really aren't deep dive stats here, but when I was watching, again, the way that Mashu played in SWC and the way that the opposing teams played, you would see opposing teams' KAs be artificially inflated because 3 people would get an assist on Mashu. That's an exaggeration, of course. But it shows you again, if lots of people are getting assists on Mashu, it means lots of people are firing at Mashu. That time, more than most sets, you saw one person take care of Mashu, and that usually isn't how that goes, and that's really the thing that, well, Mashu wants least, is one person can't take me down, it's going to take at least 2 of you, and as long as that's the case, we are A-okay. But like you said, Mashu was getting shut down early on his own side of the map, getting taken down there, not able to get loops set up, and when Mashu finally was able to start attacking the crabs, those were the small windows where you saw Haniwa actually get their zone caps and get a chance to defend the zone. I'm more impressed by how easily Crispy was able to push back in. You just don't typically see that when you have a Mashu Tetra team, and certainly at this level.
Right, especially on a map like Flounder, where you, coming back into the zone, are at disadvantage. You do not have the advantage going up that slope. You do not have the advantage when there's a crab shooting down at you from that tall wall up there on the left side, and they were able to do it consistently every single time. A lot of it was because Dynamon was just really good at using that Stamper from that raised platform with the fences and going around the other side, and that was the opening that they needed. And again, these are sets that should be studied so that people understand how to break back in on Flounder Heights.
My, oh my. Hagglefish Market we move to next. And, I mean, if there was ever I would be stunned if these teams start changing up comps whatsoever. But if there was ever a polar opposite of what we see on Flounder, it would be this map, as we are going to finally see now Haniwa's counter here. You know the plan, folks. They want to move Mashu up onto the opponent's plat and use big damaging hitboxes and burst bombs. Meanwhile, on the other side, they're going to try to do the same thing with Menshino's sloshing machine. Let's see how they execute.
And all it is up to execution. We do see 2 respawn. Again, I'm fascinated that Frontlines are using respawn Punisher nowadays, because it seems like such a counterintuitive thing. But if you're the one getting all the picks, you've got everything going in your favor. 1 down on this early scrap on both sides. Didn't exactly see what would happen in the zone there, but it seemed like Dynamon just kind of slashed at 2 people and they died. So, traditional Dynamon things. Finally, we see Mashu moving forward. Gonna be a little bit hard for Crispy to break back in on this one.
Yep, this is what they wanted to get set up here, and it does look like they at least have some momentum moving forward there, and holy crap, they backed up really, really far and really fast. A situation where you try to give up the zone to keep a favorable board, but as it stands right now, I'm not sure that they were able to do that. Mashu runs forward. That's A-okay. That's what we want to see from Mashu, but I am again stunned at how quickly they just continually move forward. Are they really giving that much respect to the sloshes and the booyah bomb, or the burst bombs?
They probably have to, right? It's probably not a choice. They probably just think, if I get in that range, I'm going to die, and so they don't want to take that risk. Again, we see Crispy going down to these Tetras who are doing such good work, even with the jump-ins on that glass, able to find the fall-off. Moving forward, protecting the teammate. Ride is going to be able to try and follow up, not going to be able to do so. This is so quickly going back and forth, and that's not going to be the lead for Haniwa. Instead, it's going to go onto the side of Crispy is the zone. What? If they can paint it. If they can paint it. You're kidding.
That zone was 80%. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable indeed. This is ridiculous. This is crazy how fast these teams are skirmishing, right? They're not using their specials. Like, if we can have the special counters up right now, like, there have not been that many crabs in this past 2 minutes. Like, there should already have been, like, at least 4, 5, maybe 6. There have not been that many. Finally, we see one coming through on the side of Haniwa. 15 ticks left, and they're moving backwards. They're moving backwards. They've got the momentum. A little bit on the side of Crispy. Can they find the zone, or is it going to be the stalwart defense? Ride is able to take down one. Again, this zone needs to get painted. You need to get on the zone. All right, they got it. Okay.
Woof. In SWC, we said these specials are too slow. My crab is too slow. I have more important things to attend to. And you saying that there just weren't a lot of specials being used at the time, I think was a great call out by you, because it's true. The main weapons had to be what was done, the sub weapons. We simply had not enough time to accomplish anything other than move forward and fight and attack. Now finally we get the first legit look at a couple crab loops as Mashu is going to go down. Took a little aggro in the process. Toto goes down now as well. No fight near the zone. Wisely backing up here to try to make it at least a little bit more difficult. And Menchino, I think, ran out of ink. No, not enough ink left to get that. Now everyone is over here assisting as well. Can Ride actually get behind them, though? I believe Toto is there as well. Fights on the zone, everyone going down. Now Milk Crave is breaking. They are playing ring around the zone. And will they actually be able to hold here? It's just Mashu. They're going to try to get the jump in. There's not enough time.
That was amazing play. And again, I think it's the respawn punish that really changed up the pace of that game. It was because everyone was kept going down and everyone kept getting super reset on their specials, so there was no specials to be had. There were no crabs. Nobody could throw them out like they usually do to get those classic retakes going, and because the gameplay loop just kept getting faster and faster and faster, they needed to start scrapping and flanking and taking every fight that they saw. That was wild and so much fun. And we already have the counter come in. They're not slowing down, not even outside of the game, 9.
What a rush this is. This is unbelievable. It's, if you'll permit me to be an old man for a moment, I recall one of the most enjoyable sets that I've ever commentated at Smash and Splash 3. This is way back in Splatoon 1 era. It was Hanron versus I don't remember what the name was, but it was a pickup of Spectre and Dude and BSME and Chris. And every game seemed to go to the depths of overtime, and the counter picks happened immediately afterwards. And I remember one point I look back at the crowd, and the crowd is saying, "No, slow down, we can't handle this." And the players are stone-faced. They are in the moment. Their heartbeat it's either 180 or it's 40. There's no in between with these types of players. But what a fierce battle this has been. And we're going to Mahi Mahi Resort, where we have seen in Area Cup unbelievable individual plays. This is certainly one map where one player can take it over.
Okay. Gathering our bearings, taking a little bit of a sip. Let's get back into this. The set count is 1-1.
No, it's 2-0 now.
No, it's 2-0.
Crispy.
It's 2-0 for Crispy. This is game points. This is tournament points for the members of Hanwha, who, again, probably should be the ones winning this set if we're talking about prior results and recent history. This is wild.
This is, and again, they're going to run these two comps until the end of time or until an update comes through, whichever one happens first. And frankly, I'm not sure which one will happen first, but here we go. Immediately, the Stampers fight it out in the center of the map. Dynamon will get the better of it, so this should be an early good look here. But my God, what an incredible fight already. They're angry. Everyone's fighting 3 down already. There's only 3 squids left on the map.
Nobody used crab. Like, there was no quick crab. This is a map about scrapping. Like, Mahi is a map about scrap. Water level is already dropping 40 seconds into this game, and we're already seeing just another 3 go down once again as Renzo is trying to find his way onto the zone, trying to literally just climb around the only sense of cover he can find to safely paint, to try and dodge those Stamper bullets, to try and get a little bit of forward movement, but there just seems to be nothing right now. Menshino needs to get this kill on this crab and is going to be able to find it, barely. Finally, we see a little bit of life on the side of Crispy in this game, and I mean life in the literal life or death sense.
Yeah, life as in you get to continue to play the game here. Mashu moving forward now is going to go ahead and fight this crab, saying, please fire at me, crab, do it, and now my teammates will jump on top of you. Renzone wisely backing up immediately before anybody could even fire, is going to give the team a pivot point on that side, and Toto more than happy to pick up the splat on top of that. They move forward, they fire forward, Renzone has to Menshino has to back up, and it ain't far enough. Toto knows the exact reach of this weapon, firing, and I think hits something. It was Dynamon. The second shot was enough as well, and Toto making the case that he is indeed the best of the Splatana Stampers.
Really trying to go for it here, right? Like, that crown is in question, and especially with teammates like Ride, who's able to clean up after him. This is going to be really, really hard sell to try and say that anyone else has that title. Finally, 30 ticks about left on the side for Hanwha to get their first game in this set. Gonna be able to stop Dynamon once again. The Booyah goes onto the zone, but it hits the pillow. That means it's not gonna paint super well. There's no time to get the paint down. That's gonna be Hanwha taking the first game that they can, saying our tournament run is not over just yet.
And a dominant victory, too, after the way that those last 2 games went, with pandemonium all throughout and a zone switching, a zone swapping there, 1 point here, 1 point there. That was some anger and some execution.
Yeah.
The way that Toto was moving forward and attacking with that weapon at the right spot was, I wouldn't say it's a marked difference from the way that was being played earlier, but it was certainly a map that allowed that to work. And Toto sharking right beneath plays a similar role to what Crispy is hoping that Menshino can get. So in that sense, you have your Stamper go and play that role, and that frees up Mashu to go and do Mashu things as well. So you can see how even a subtle change of the stage enabling Toto to play in a slightly different way throws a wrench. And the way that they rotated around holding their own drop was so fascinating to see develop in real time. And they've got a little life here. They certainly have a chance now. They will have to go through 2 Crispy counter picks to do it. But, I mean, come on, folks. There aren't that many maps in this game. Surely they can figure something out.
And that's what it's all about, right? Like, figuring something out. Like you said, Hanwha needed to make a transition there. They needed to try and find some way to work around themselves. And that's what they did. Again, this idea of that it's not about the weapon select screen. It's about how you utilize those weapons. Gonna be going to Museum here, and we're probably gonna be seeing a lot of what we saw in that last set on Museum, right? Where Dynamon is going on that right side, able to really make a lot of use of that wide-reaching range. As well as getting that wave of pressure from the other side.
Yep, the way that they put players in the right spot to, again, stack up the chip damage as well. And again, a player who we sort of bring up incidentally when the play calls for it, but Menchino is one of, and has been for a long time, one of the best bucket players in the game. If it's Rentana as 1A, Menchino, you could argue, is certainly 1B. And, there are a lot of directs that are coming out from Menchino that are being cleaned up by these burst bombs, by some of these other players, by these crabs. But that's a big deal, and it's why you see people still play Sloshing Machine here, even as the game moves so quickly and scrappy, because it sets up for those follow-ups from your teammates, and that's what it's all about at this stage. Folks, I'd be stunned if anything changed here. Of course, nothing changing from this side, and of course, nothing changing from the other side either.
All about those alley-oops. Let's see if they can get those passes going. Once again, we're seeing the haunt on the Splatana Stampers, which is such an interesting choice, right? Making sure to go forward and then come back and know exactly where the opponents are. Using yourself as a way to get information, essentially. Toto's going to be trying to hide here. Renzo is really trying to sniff him out. That Stamper is not going to be able to do so. Wasted that entire crowd just to try and find Toto, who's going to get taken out by him anyways. This is going to be the pink ink going all the way forward, trying to get Milcrape here. Not going to be able to do so, but that was great.
I mean, you talk about the anger there, the patience of like, oh, just you wait until your crab runs out, then I'm going to really show you what's happened. Hey, I mean, they've got Mashu set up in the perfect spot here. They've got Toto just behind now, starting to cycle there. If they get one crab here in mid and the other player up, and they already have, this could really be a big deal. Yes, Mashu goes down. They're probably okay with that. They sniff out Dynamon's flank before it can even get started or put any sort of disruption. And hold on, this is starting to get scary.
It's starting to get real scary. If the QR comes online, Dynamon's going to be back soon. Toto ends up going down on this left side. He's hanging out in that corner. But both of those splashes lined up. And he ended up getting taken down by one clean headshot. Finally, we have a crab online. Dynamon really needs to try and take care of it, but is going to be left alone over here trying to make a hero play. Booyah comes through. Not enough pain. Definitely not enough. They need to get everyone back online, but there's only 10 ticks left. They need to get to the zone. They need to get to the zone now, but Toto's sharking under the ledge, trying to find his way up there. Gonna shred this crab, and that's game 5 on the way, because Haniwa has something to say.
I mean, man, you hope that the download's not complete, but game 3 and 4, Magic,
yeah,
these look like two very different tier of teams with the way those are going. I know that there are all kinds of engagements and coin flip situations where if someone doesn't execute, you have a very different game, but two dominant victories after two highly contested victories in game 1 and 2.
Somebody leveled up. Like, they got like a level up, right? Like in the middle of that fight. That's exactly what it feels like. Somebody somewhere just decided, all right, we're gonna give them all of the strength and power that they need to just start moving even quicker. And that's what it feels like. It feels like they're just moving so much better now.
It's a combination of moving better and beyond that, I think just figuring out the angles that Dynamon is attacking from. It's the opening of the game, so, we can't look too hard at how the opening of the game was going. But you saw that Dynamon immediately went on the right side, the flank, to try to come into the zone from there. And you saw later on, Dynamon's flank got sniffed out very quickly. And to look back at the Mahi Mahi game, there were a couple times where, again, they sniffed out where Dynamon was coming from. One time it was Toto who got that crazy shot that we saw, and another time it was Ride who had moved forward and was simply walking back and forth on the floaties below the drop. So when Dynamon's not able to create the mayhem and get set up, the Stamper is probably the slowest weapon on the map, certainly of all these Juggernaut players that are playing. So it can take you a little time to get set up and start to do what that weapon wants. And if you can keep that weapon from getting set up, it's the same premise that we talked about with Mashu, where they don't get into their spots and suddenly the whole game plan becomes that much less effective. I think that's been the big difference in these last two games, and that might be a map situation, but you got to give some credit to the players at a certain point.
It's so interesting. When we talk about mobility in terms of weapons, there's a couple of factors that go into it, right? Like, there's a reason that some weapons we say are more mobile than others, and why shooters mostly are like the most mobile weapons is because they can often go side to side very quickly, right? Like, they can change their direction very easily, and they can also put a lot of paint down quickly that they can swim through, right? Like, that's why Burst Bomb is so good. It's all about ink management for Stamper, right? Because if you've got the Burst Bomb, then you can just keep moving quickly, and you can change your direction. You can use that forward slash to try and trip people up. But if it's not that way, you need to have paint under your feet to make sure that you can keep moving quickly. And if you don't have that, you get stuck. And I think that that's the key difference, was that in the last set, we saw that Museum was so much more well painted for Dynamon, but this time was not. As we go back to Brine Water, which is where we saw some insane plays against IGZ on the side of Crispy. This is game 5, and Haniwa really wants to take this one home, 9.
Yep. Or the Dream Run from Crispy. Both outcomes exciting, and let's take a look here at the very start. Who's moving forward? Surprise, surprise, it's Dynamon on one side. They're going to get the early zone here, but where is the first attack going to be made? The Crabs come out, they cycle. Dynamon again is the first one to go down. Both of the Stampers down, as Menshino is off on the side and gets taken out, and it does look like this opening is going to go in favor of Yellow.
In favor of Haniwa, indeed. This is Mashu's time to get moving, get everything going, and force the members of Crispy back. They've got the Crabs getting painted up as well, which is really going to be useful for their side. Gonna shred that Crab with the Reef Slider. The Samuraido gonna be able to take members down, and this timer is ticking very quickly as Menshino tries to draw some attention to the backfield. Dynamon is trying to follow it up from this ledge, trying to get paint on this zone, and it's going to be able to do so as Menshino is able to draw the fire of 2 players. They really want to get this zone taken care of. You saw them pop the Zipcaster for the ink, and they're going to be able to get that cap because of it, and Dynamon's really set up on this left side here.
I mean, again, it's the simple stuff, right? We all know that popping your special refills your ink tank. To have the presence of mind to use it right there and understand that if we don't get the zone now, we might not ever get it for the rest of this tournament. Lovely stuff.
One goes down to that stray shot. And the Stamper comes through with the Spider-Man. Trying to find Milkrape is not able to do so. Milkrape really wants this pick onto Toto, who's has avoided... went all the way away from all of his team to do so and did not come up with it. This is going to be the lockout that they need.
Yep, that's a big, big deal. If Milkrape wins that cleanly, they have to turn around and deal with that. Instead, it was done, and they all move forward. Mashu not able to get anyone, but drew a lot of fire here. They're going to try to pivot off of this double Crab. This is 3 specials at the zone. If they don't create an advantage off of this, they're really not going to get a better look here. And look at the way that they've moved around. Mashu has jumped back. They still have the zone, but again, credit the members of Crispy there. So patient, not diving, still sticking with the team play. They at least have given themselves another opportunity. It's not a full lockout yet, but at the very least, they're going to start scoring points very shortly.
That was such a good booyah from Menshino there. Going for the Crab, not just mindlessly throwing it at the zone, separating the teammates and giving the players the time and space that they need to work around and get through those choke points, and that's exactly what they did. Mashu's getting tucked away in this corner as well, which is really important for the team play. That's going to buy a lot of time to waste that jump out, and is going to get taken down, wasting the Crab. They've got specials, but they need to go to the zone now if they want the lead. The booyah comes through, it's going to block that choke point. There's not enough paint in the zone, and they get the lead on the side of Crispy. So finally, they're able to get the cap and the picks that they need. So you're getting tucked everyone away in the corner. Dynamon jumps in as Menshino jumps away. They might be able to save this ramp from getting completely locked out, but that's so dangerous.
It is, and again, Dynamon clearly is the one who says, I don't need my special of the two of you here. Gonna try to use the crab, and again, the Booyah Bomb. This is the same setup that we saw last time here. If your set play works, just keep going back to it. But now look, one of them has already gotten taken out. This is the big difference here. They've lost control, and just barely before the crab could get the punish, Renzo moved forward and took the zone. A decisive play, and is now behind them still. At some point, they're gonna have to deal, and it is gonna be a couple people firing in that direction. All the while, they moved Mashu up, and I believe Mashu got somebody as well. Just 10 seconds. I don't know. What are they actually going to be able to take this zone again and hold this lead?
They're definitely going to try. They're not going to be able to. They did move forward successfully as Mashu once again comes through and tries to just make a lot of chaos, and Menshino ends up going down for it. Dynamon needs to try and make something happen. The world champion needs to try and make something happen. Finally, he does. That's a zone painted. That's 3 down on the side of Haniwa, trying to get this last one done, and they do. Toto's left alone here. They need to try and clear him out and make sure they can get this. The crowd comes online. It's haunted, and they know exactly where it is, but can they actually do something with it? Mashu just down on the other side. This is going to be chaos. There's only 20 seconds left, and they need to get this zone painted, or else Haniwa will lose this game.
There it is. Mashu goes that way. This might be the last opportunity that Mashu has in order to set the loop, and Rirei goes down. Rirei goes down. They've got one crab left. They have one opportunity left. Mashu jumps in. The camera moves over, tries to make a play. 2-1. It's contested, but it's not enough. And the knockout as the clock hits 0. Crispy, an unbelievable comeback in this game, in this set. And what a set it was, Magic.
They came back for this tournament. They want this tournament. All of the members of that team want so desperately to prove that they have what it takes to win something this big, and they've proven it time after time after time after time, and they're going to Grands because of it.
My goodness, so many individual moments of players recognizing the one right answer in a minefield of incorrect decisions. To be able to hold on as long as they did. And then at the very end, the precision to take out Rirei there. Once that splash went down, you knew that it was going to be Hail Mary desperate situations. And we have certainly seen teams flip zones in those situations. But that was the one that completely changed the dynamic of that final engagement. And my, oh my, Crispy continues their run, slaying another all-star squad. And now they will simply wait. Oh no, they don't even have to wait. The other set did happen off stream.
Oh, it did.
Magic, if they want to win this tournament, they gotta beat MDZ.
No way. A 3-1 set that we very unfortunately did not get to cover. That's so unfortunate that we didn't get to see that set. I would have loved to see Tikatan sandwich there. But we are going to see MDZ, the folks that we've seen before, the folks who play like they're the best. And they're going to try and send Crispy packing. This is going to be a world-class effort from both sides to make sure the other one does not get to see the light of day.
And a thought that I had as we were kind of loading up for this top 4, looking at these rosters and being reminded, there is a legitimate, you could make a legitimate case that the 4 best Splatana Stampers are on these 4 teams. You had Toto, who is for Haniwa. You have Dynamon for Crispy. For San Chanzu, you had Nourishio, and for MDZ, you have apparently Shelton, because of course, I guess maybe it's hard to say that Shelton is a Splatana Stamper main at this point. Maybe that's the case, or maybe it's just, you feel like winning with something new or something a little bit different here, but unbelievable that you're getting to see this level of play, arguably the best of a weapon, on 4 different teams. That's not usually how it works.
No, never. In what world do we see all of the best of a weapon come together and say, all right, we're going to settle this right now? And it seems like it's about to be settled. Mincemeat Metalworks is also a great place for Stamper, as we've seen a couple of times. As you've seen Shelton in that set that we saw them last. This is going to be so much fun.
Well, folks, you know these players at this point. we can't tell you anything about them that you're not familiar with. This is, again, MDZ, the team that has won virtually everything that there is to win at the start of Splatoon 3. Their names will dot the record books for the history of this game with their dominance, their consistency against all of the best players that the game can throw at them. And on the other side, you have Crispy, a team that have similar accolades from different eras. And that's not to say that they haven't won things in Splatoon 3 as well, but this is your pickup of the week. And if they are able to pull through and get this victory, it would be one of the best tournament runs we have ever seen in an Area Cup, and that's saying a lot.
It's so much fun that we've gotten to see it all the way through, right? That we've seen so many, like, not only were they the best sets of the tournament, they were the best sets of the tournament all the way through. The 2-1 in the first round, the 2-1 in the third round, Game 5 in the fourth round. And now it's going to be another best of 5, where they're probably going to have to play out of their minds in grand finals of Area Cup 81. Dynamon wielding the Stamper. We've got Shelton wielding the Stamper, and this is going to be a battle for the crown.
A mirror comp, and again, folks, don't be surprised if we are mirrored the whole way. Clearly, these teams have figured something out that they like, and we're just going to tell you what we see as it unveils in real time. Shelton going to come out the better of the first engagement and then get punished very quickly as a result. This is the part of Mincemeat where it gets a little hectic if you don't have missiles. How do you displace the opposing crabs? Well, with a Dynamon, apparently, is the answer thus far.
Not going to be able to successfully take them out this time, though, because I think that Shelton was kind of not guarding them per se, but happened to be in the area. Gonna be able to take this one out. Gets traded! Clashing blows! They dive at each other with their swords and they take each other out. Finally, we're gonna be seeing some crabs get online on the side of Crispy, and this is gonna be the zone going the other way. Maybe Milkrape can land a couple shots in the zone. Okay, they do. And those two go down, they've got a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, a little bit of momentum and only 1 point to show for it here. MDZ has now set up their crab loops and arguably the best in the world at doing just that. There's a shot on a Dynamon and the other more than happy to dive on top of it as well. Menchino can't clean up Shelton. Does now, but that could have been huge stalling time. You see that the other members got back in, so they're not going to get a true lockout scenario here. It's instead going to be more of a middling defense. Menchino throwing it here is going to try to go after Kurokudo, and I love that decision, but one is going to go down, the other is going to come down. Magic, a missed opportunity there.
Seems like a couple of just misplaced shots, if I'm being honest, with the follow-up from Dynamon. It looked like it was the right play, but unable to successfully get it through. Dynamon on this left side here needs to try and get something going as the burst bomb combinations come in. This chip damage composition style has been so good for the teamwork of MDZ because they know how to play off each other. They know how to target the same thing. Finally, we see Renzone get a couple of things going their way on the side of Crispy, but there's so much zone to paint.
Yep, this is a huge zone here. It's not going to be easy to take. They're able to do it by way of getting 2 down. And this is big coming around for Kurokudo. This was the opportunity that they missed last time as it stands now. I don't know if they know red zone is here. They certainly know at this point, but they survived long enough to get clicks. They do lose the zone, so I have to imagine the other members off screen were doing the work for MDZ, but again, you get the sense, again, they're so close. They're so close to getting these lockout scenarios, and MDZ finds ways to prevent it before it can even start.
That's really it, right? They're able to group up, get these picks. Like, how did Shelton get that straight pick on a Menchino? And how did he get another one to follow up? How did nobody take care of him? He's just insane with it. They are able to at least get a couple of picks in return, finally take down that menace, and are able to prevent these crabs from really being safe up here on the ledge. Kuroguro wants this. They want the good shot. They're able to get the diving back and forth and driving with the shots, able to get the picks. Finally, it's going to be a couple of members going down on the side of Crispy, and Shelton wants to keep going. This train is not over. This train cannot be stopped. Dynamon can try and take them down, but they're going to come back. They're going to come back and keep themselves moving.
It's the same two, but on the other side this time. Unbelievable. The field line with their bodies at this point. And this is the big part, right? They finally have an actual chance to do a lockout because now Menshino was up on that side, got taken down from the Fizzy Bomb, and now Dynamo has the opportunity to get another one here, knocks the armor off of Clix. There's going to be a brief window here where they should have the jump advantage. They're going to go back here. Those crabs are very far back. As Dynamo goes down, can they paint over the top of it? They have to. This is their biggest chance, their one opportunity. They got their respawns in. Will it be enough? Thus far it is. They're gonna outscale. Just a couple seconds magic and they take the lead.
Menshino was hiding in that bottom left corner, was able to keep the crabs away, and was able to help them paint over the zone because of it. That's how you use your teamwork to distract and bait and push and punish, and that was so nice. That was such a good shot. Almost Rentana tried to get that pick onto Dynamon, but was unable to do so. Is going to stay alive, trying to get these crabs down. They have enough timer left to keep this one going. The jumps need to come in right now and paint the zone now, or else there's not enough. No, they're not going to get it. FGC finds it back. They fight back and take it away from Crispy. They want this. They're going to get it.
Man, and everything that we said about Menshino in that moment, the way that they were fighting the crabs to slow it down, right back at you, says Rentana. We said earlier, these might be 1A and 1B, and they both made the play to displace the right players. That shot that got Dynamon, that hit Dynamon as Dynamon jumped in, forced him to go on the other side of the truck. It was simply the only option. If he had doubled back, the next slosh was there. Once those two players were stuck in enemy ink on the other side of the truck, that was it. You do not get to come out of that situation. You simply do not. You've already taken some damage. You've taken one direct from a sloshing machine. Everyone is going to collapse and throw their bombs. And then at that point, again, we enter that Hail Mary state where you're throwing everything you have at the zone. There's no team play anymore. There's not enough time to create team play. And man, oh man, they just keep doing it. They just keep pulling victory out of these impossible situations, squeezing water from stone.
Keep getting away with this. And it rings so true, because every time it feels like someone might dethrone them, might get the chance to prove that they're the ones on top. They decide, no, I think that's enough. We're going to take this one back. You just don't beat Shelton. You just don't. But there's a good reason. They do it consistently. They do it properly. They do amazing work every time because they just have the right decisions in mind.
Well, speaking of decisions, we'll now move into the counter pick phase. That was our random map that was chosen there. So we will now get to see where Crispy would like to go. We've seen them find victory on a variety of different stages here, so they've certainly got their pick of the litter, as it were. They're taking a little time here. Maybe they finally, after the incredible run they've had, need a little breather themselves.
It's probably something along those lines, right? Like, they can't just keep pushing themselves. They have to slow down eventually and take a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather, or else they're just not going to be able to compete at that highest level. You know, treating your mind and your body well is so important to properly competing every time. And they're really liking Brine Water, right? I think that this is going to be their main counter pick, right? Like, this is what has won them a lot of games, so it makes sense. They probably just honestly needed that breather.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case here. And when the teams lock in that quickly after the map comes in, we have a pretty good idea of what the choices are going to be from these teams. And surprise, surprise, there's no surprise. Let's get into it. Game 2. And what does Crispy have to say in this best of 5?
They're going to be speaking loud and clear, I feel like. They're going to make themselves heard very much. Not too much different from the past statements that they've said. I think they just need to say it louder. Going to be trying to find Shelton on this left side. Going to be able to trade out, but that's going to be Dynamon going down as well. Again, these crabs are just so strong and well placed from the side of MDZ. And they're going for the lockout.
Yep, immediately moving up here. Why not? Painting a little bit here, painting a little bit there. Let's build the special, move up and attack. No hesitation here from Kurokudo. Going in to fight it out. That's going to be 3. That should be a delayed wipe. They destroyed that crab. And honestly, if I'm Milkrape in that situation, it might be better just to not crab there. Either jump out or go down and save half of your meter there. There were 3 people firing here. And oh my goodness, they can't even land safely from spawn.
I want to point out, Kurokuro decided to not just shoot the first person in his path, decided to go for the second, because they knew that there were going to be people behind him shooting at the person that was first, so they just went forward and just kept moving, and it's little decisions like that that makes them win fights every single time, and even with the specials, there's just no chasing them out. There's just no getting them down. You can't just trade them out. They're too good! They're just too good!
And I mean, it is stunning to think that all of that was opened up. Both teams had very similar openings. Dynamon, I think, could have and probably should have had that victory against Shelton when both of the Stampers were fighting at the very beginning. But Shelton at the very last moment was able to get a burst bomb direct to do enough damage to take that trade back the other way. And because of that, their crabs were able to focus fire on one other player. They got that down. They simply moved up. Milkrape backed up maybe a little too far. And Kuro took the one small opening and, like you said, Magic, fired at one and then just kept running forward and say, hey, catch up with me, please. Let's win this game in the first 20 seconds.
And they did. That was a 20-second win. 20... That was the first, that was the time in which it snowballed to a winning position for MDZ. Right, think about that. Like in the first 20 seconds, they got to the point where, yeah, we have to be the ones to mess up to lose.
Yeah,
that's how good they are.
And you have to mess up badly.
Yeah, very.
My goodness. Well, here we go, folks. If you've got any energy and you want to see this go ahead and throw it over to Crispy, because after a hotly contested and heartbreaking game 1, a dominant game 2 going against them, they've got to figure things out if they want to rewrite the script. MDZ looking for a 4th Area Cup victory would be unprecedented at this level of Splatoon. And let's see what Crispy can pull out here at the 9th hour.
This is the 9th hour for sure, for certain. Dynamon decides, I'm going to hang out in this cubby and wait for people to come to me. Fortunately, Kurokuro decided to come to him, and... yeah, that was a good try.
Be careful what you wish. Be careful what you wish for if there was ever anything to be said about that. And now look at this. The crabs immediately move up. Clix is right here already, firing. No risk whatsoever. Throwing caution to the wind, and is still here on top. And Magic, this is getting so dangerous. If they mine the flank whatsoever, Clix is going to be a menace up on this spot. They did send 2 people over on this flank to try to make it happen, but the fight took too long, Magic. They've rotated back. Menchino has to come up huge here. Is going to be able to, actually, with a little assist, to get this Booyah Bomb down now. And where's the jump coming through? Through it, it clicks, and Menchino may have done it. Lasted long enough for Dynamon to come back in. But make no mistake, that was a hero play. And if that's what you have to do, you're not going to win too many games against MDZ.
No, you can't be reliant on hero plays. I don't care how super powered you are. You need to work together. You need to be able to start winning with your team. You need to be able to start staying alive consistently. One goes down. Dynamon! What are you doing? You need to get out of here. Go away! Clix is not gonna save you! You can't be running against this crab! You need to go! You need to stop! They got the lead, Nine! They got the lead!
Oh, I love this friggin' game, man. This is an incredible sequence there. Dynamo gets a triple, and then again, simply goes back there. That crab gets used by Clix in a position where it was not going to be able to do anything except for fire at the two players right there. They dive in on top to close that out. They've started to stagger here. A great direct shot there to take out Rentana as well. And now Sheldon's in a bad spot as well. They're going to be able to use very indirect chick damage to close that one out. And we said you can't rely on the hero plays, and Dynamon spits in our face and says, I am the hero. Sit down.
For real. For real, the hero. Like, I'm talking anime protagonist kind of level. This is insane. Finally, we're gonna see a little bit of life from Shelton. Not going in, not going too crazy. We're gonna get specials online. We're gonna start diving in with Zipcaster. Gonna find one. Gonna paint the zone. 11 ticks left. They need to start going for it. But Booyah comes through, but it's gonna get painted over. There's 2 live on each side, and Dynamon has something to say, 9.
My, oh my. I just...
Let him cook!
We said that Menchino made the hero play to give them another opportunity at the game. And then Dynamon, whose flank was discovered, by the way. They sent 2 people over there, and one of them immediately got shut down. It was just Dynamon left. Gets everybody on that corner to give them a real opportunity to set a lockout scenario. And at that point, once they found their groove and got set up, listen, this squad can set up the crab loops and the indirects with the best of them. And credit Dynamon there again at the very end of the game, choosing to continue to fight the other players who were painting the zone, knowing that there was one Splash-O-Matic that was left, and saying, I'm not going to be able to outpaint here. I can't outscale on zone these 2 other players on the other team. But if I fire at them, maybe they fire at me. And that can outpaint them by simply stopping them from painting. It's incredible how it works.
The push and pull of the metagame, right? The give and take, the firing away, the firing towards, the paint, the kills. I can't believe they were able to see through all of that noise. All of it, right? It's so much. There's, again, we talked about it earlier. There's so much chaos in Splatoon, and that's why we play it, so that we can try and find some semblance of order and understanding through it all. And the fact that they're able to do so consistently is what people want to see, and they want to see it happen again and again and again. And that's why we come together and watch this awesome game. That's why 200 of you are watching at 10 in the morning, 7 in the morning if you're on the West Coast, to do this.
And to all of our viewers in Hawaii, a check will be sent in the mail. Oh my goodness, folks. Splat Zones, Flounder Heights. I won't even hide my bias at this point. I want to see a Game 5, so if I get a little more excited for Crispy's plays, you have to understand why. I am but a man. I am only human. And we will get started here. Burst bombs mean that everyone's going to be mobile here. Everyone's going to be pulling chip damage out here. And all of those windows are going to close. Hold on. We have a change. I'll be danged. We have a change. And it's going to be Shelton switching off. Choosing to say, all right, you know what? Congrats. You got through my experiment. Now have my main.
This is going to be insane. If they can take down Shelton with all of this sauce, they deserve this tournament, right? This is going to be the truth. Look at the 3 of them sharking on this wall, and they move forward, and Moss going forward, going towards the members of Crispy, saying, we're going to simply run you down. They weren't able to successfully land all the shots, but they were able to win it in the long run.
I mean, it's just, you never see that. 3 people holding onto the wall there? Like, normally someone's there to follow up, but apparently not, and they recognize that at the time. Shelton clears up another. They've moved forward and are fighting, throwing a Booyah Bomb here to go for a knockout blow. And now they've moved up again. They've put one hit. They know that Milkrape is over here. Milkrape is taking a lot of damage, and they need this crab to make the pivot. This crab just barely gets up and off, but it's not going to do anything. And Magic, after the run that they have had, Crispy will need a huge play to get back in, and I'm not even sure they're going to be able to take their own ramp.
No, Dynamon decides to try and go after Kurokuro, but no, they think there's a new champion on the block. Going towards one more chip. What is this movement? Hello? The crab comes online, but Dynamo goes down again. 2 left alive. Trying to paint. Gonna stall it out for at least the time being. That Shelton is at least down. If this is a cap, it's not over till it's over.
It's not. The jumps have come back in, but so has Rentana. Rentana's gonna fight here. They're gonna take one out. The game is not over, as you said, but it is looking rough for them. Rentana gets away. Hold on. Yes! Yes! Incredible collapsing. And Rentana will go ahead and pick up 3 KA in that engagement, going for a 4th here. Dynamo trying to get crafty and was at least able to set up another assist from a teammate. And here comes Shelton moving forward in the position. Again, they know your end zone. This is where the pivot's coming in from. This crab better find somebody immediately and at least gets a jump out. They're gonna have some footing here, but footing might be all they get out of this.
Doesn't look like they find any pit. Finally able to find one. Can they find Shelton here? Shred that! Booyah, and they do! 2 left alive. No, just 1. Just Milkrape. They need to get a little bit of ground standing. They can't get shoved out too easily. They're able to take down Kuroten. Finally able to get some little bit of breathing room for their teammates, but there's not a lot of time. Going down finally is Renzone, and this could be curtains. Milkrape has something to say. Milkrape has something to say. It doesn't matter who goes down. He wants this. He wants this so badly. Can he get it, 9?
No, that's the other one there. Of course, Shelton was waiting that entire time on the wall just to slam the door with authority. A wipeout, an MDZ, as if there was any doubt, will win a 4th Area Cup in dominant fashion at the end, giving up only a single point. And this may be the most dominant team in Splatoon's history. There's an argument to be made as the history books continue to be rewritten. Clicks, Shelton, you are too good at this game, my friends. You are entirely too good.
I mean, there's legitimately nothing more to say, I think. We followed Crispy, and Crispy had such an amazing run. Right? These are players that should have been handed the gauntlet in the first round of this bracket. They were 1 game away from getting knocked out. So many times they were 1 game away from getting knocked out. Finally, their run had to come to an end. But Dynamon showed that even after all of these years, after 7 years of playing this game, still the best. Still the best. That's beautiful to me.
It truly is. I mean, Dynamon was one of the players that made me want to play this game. And here we are. Here we are. We want to thank you folks who woke up early or stayed up late, depending on where you are in the world, for joining us for Area Cup 81. This was an unbelievable event. If you are a Splatana Stamper fan, I mean, I don't know what more you want from this meta, from these players, but what incredible play. And we said earlier, this may be the last Area Cup we get with this type of meta. We don't know when the patch is going to come, what it's going to bring, but it cannot be argued that in the early days of Splatoon 3, there was no force that could match anything close to what MDZ brought to the table. And Magic, I leave it to you, my friend. What are your final thoughts on what we saw today, as we are exhausted?
I think that's exactly it. There was so much energy. So much energy, and you could feel it from the players and how they were playing and how they were moving and everything. Everything was so energetic. And I think that's something that has been lost, I think, in recent times, right? I feel like a lot of the wind has been taken out of Splatoon sales for different reasons, but there's a lot of energy still. People care so much about this game. They want to do well. They want to play it well. They want to have awesome tournaments, right? I think that should not be lost. We have so many people signing up for LTC, and it's 4 months out. People want this game to be amazing.
Well, when you have plays like that, I think the wants have been answered and the prayers have been answered. And folks, of course, we have to give thanks to the TO staff to make this happen. Oda, thank you so much, as always, for putting these events on, for keeping such a consistent brand. There are not many tournaments out there that have 81 iterations. And that's not to say anything about Area Cup 0, Area Cup Plus, and all of the other cups that this team puts together. A major thanks to the cameraman, and of course, a huge thanks to Inkfarer, to Vincent, and the entire squad of IPL for putting this on. And, I mean, Tic Tac is either not awake on a modeling shoot or playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, but this doesn't happen without multiple people working to break through this language barrier, and major thanks have to be given to that squad.
Thank you! Thank you all. Thank you, all the viewers who wanted to show your support for this awesome tournament as well. And again, we want to show people how great this can be. And we're glad that it's been reaching.
It has been reaching, folks. We're going to go ahead and set up our raid, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the door on today's action. Thank you for joining us here for Area Cup 81. I'm Nine Hole Grains, been joined by Magic 8 Ball, and until next time, everybody, stay fresh.